Meyer backpedaling, running out of time, spinning away, and nobody open. Now he flips it up into traffic and makes a mistake. Trying to force the play, and it's intercepted. BJ Mays rumbling down inside the 10.
This is 365 Sports.
Bowling Green with no timeouts. Nick Singleton. Touchdown, Penn State.
365 Sports is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
Klubnik, undaunted, unafraid, complete, Turner, touchdown!
365 Sports is also brought to you by Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, protecting Texans since 1952.
Why not?
365 Sports is turbocharged by Unite Private Networks. Find out more at uniteprivatenetworks.com.
Jennings on the play fake, slides it upfield. Matthew Hittner off to the races. Hittner at the 30, full speed, and the big tight end goes 75. It's a Pony Express.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
And here we go on 365 Sports on this Thursday afternoon. Hope you've had a really good day. And we hope to bring you 3 hours of content, entertainment, opinions, topics, and your feedback too. At some point today, we'll update the Open Championship, of course, which is going on right now in Ireland. But a lot to get to. Today, A&M was on the clock. Arkansas, Kentucky, and Missouri. And, oh, by the way, there's not a story to put up on the screen, but charges against Le'Veon Moss have been dropped. They have dismissed that case, the running back at Texas A&M. Also, any of the rumors about Shamar Stewart, who was drafted into the NFL and he's not signed yet with his NFL team, there was thoughts that, well, he's working out at College Station. He's going to go back to A&M. That's never been considered, according to Mike Elko today at SEC Media Days.
Also, he can't.
No, I know.
I mean, it's part of the rule. Like, unless they change that rule real fast, but I doubt that's going to happen. The Bengals have some kind of weird offset language that he's mad about that's apparently different than every other team, but it doesn't surprise me that it's the Bengals who have some kind of weird thing where they could kind of screw their first-round pick. Like, they've always kind of been that way. You know, Mike Brown doesn't really care about what the players want or anything like that.
He just poured about $800 million into a couple of receivers, though, right? And
but, like, you know, his top defensive end is holding out. Like, it's always contentious. Like, I'll tell you this, for Cowboy fans who roll their eyes at the way that Jerry does things, and believe me, they can, just be glad that Mike Brown's not in charge.
Yeah, well, I mean, as far as the Le'Veon Moss thing, I don't think that's much of a surprise. That was never that big of a deal. It's just that we hear so little about day-to-day kind of grievances like that, or an MIP, or, you know, something along those lines. It's always typically something a bit more grave when we find out about some of the arrests and things of that nature. And that was just a guy who got into something at Northgate. So he's not unique in that way at all. And so I'd never thought that was that big of a deal, but did give fodder, I guess, for your enemies for a day or two to, you know, crack on your culture or whatever. But that's good that it's behind him. And as far as Shamar Stewart goes, I mean, I haven't been paying super close tabs on that story because I'm not a Broncos fan, but Bud Elliott was the one that suggested that Shamar Stewart's, based on the story that I read earlier from Mike Florio, I think he went so far as to suggest that he was participating in workouts in College Station. And then I guess the Florio article that I read that was citing what Bud Elliott had said that, no, there's not a way for him to come back. But the reason why they said the door was left open was because, it's the NCAA. They lose cases all the time. So if he just wants to sue him, then maybe he could get his year back. That was their reasoning as to why he could have some eligibility was, it's the NCAA. They lose lawsuits all the time. So why not try to just sue them and get another year? That wasn't like there was some big missing piece. They're like, oh, wow, he actually could come back. I think it was just speculation that didn't have much merit to it.
Yeah, and Elko, there's no intentions of Shamar to play for the Aggies this year.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of silly. So, yeah, I mean, you got drafted in the NFL. You went through that whole process. I don't care what your disagreement is. You're not going to go back to Texas A&M and run it all back again. So, yeah, I mean, I guess interesting thought, but not one that actually has anything to it.
So Eli Drinkwitz, the head coach at Missouri, he was one of those, as I mentioned, Missouri on the clock along with Arkansas, Kentucky, and A&M. And his interview about a lot of things. One, the college football playoff will eventually get to the schedule they have this year with a note from Brett McMurphy. But here's some comments from Mizzou coach Eli Drinkwitz.
Just hit the podium and pitched a 30-team playoff. Walk me through that. Is that something you've been stewing on? Is that off the top of the head? We're freestyling up there?
No, it's not really something that's outrageous. It's based off of the 12-team playoff where you had automatic qualifiers, but now we've decided we want to expand it to 16. So instead of doing 11-5, which you're going to put 11 teams in the hands of a human committee that nobody's going to agree. They're all going to have implicit bias. Why would we even do that? I mean, nobody thinks that the NCAA – we spend hours arguing about who was the 69th and 70th team in the NCAA tournament. What do you think we're going to do with the 11 there? So why not expand the opportunities, give 4 play-in games to the SEC, 4 play-in games to the Big Ten, 3 to the ACC, 3 to the Big 12, and say, man, create more opportunities for the fan bases to get excited, create more opportunities for players to compete for championships. And that doesn't sit well with probably some of the blue bloods who are going to consistently be ranked in preseason rankings in the top 25 explicitly because of their names, not necessarily because of their teams, but because of the brand bias that we have in college football. Instead, make people earn it. Make people earn it on the field. Let's have less talk, which doesn't do great for these kind of events. And let's settle it on the football field. And to me, like, that's what play-in games are. If you're telling me in the SEC, hey, you got to finish in the top 8 for a chance to compete for a playoff berth, that's doable. Then it's not about, oh, well, this is the hardest conference in college football. Yeah, it is, but you got to figure out a way to be 8th. In the NFL, you got to figure out a way to be one of the best 4 teams in your division to make the playoffs. 44% of the teams in the NFL make the playoffs. We're talking about 10% of college football teams going to make the playoffs, and we think that's going to keep fan bases encouraged. We think that's going to continue to create multi-billion-dollar industry. College football is still reliant on financial assistance from fans. We can talk about ESPN dollars and all we want, but they still need fans to come to the games and sell tickets. And if at the end of the day, in the next 5 or 10 years, it's still the same 15 teams making it, what are you going to do to the rest of these fan bases? They're going to quit showing.
So there's Eli Drinkwitz of Missouri with J.D. Pickell and On 3. So that was the interview. And then there was a tweet about Eli Drinkwitz, and part of it was in the tweet, it said, explains his 30-team college football model. We're talking about 10% of college football teams are going to make the playoffs. He actually then countered what was up on Twitter from On 3. It's not the first time that On 3 has been countered this week.
It's also who he had just done that exact interview with was On 3.
Yeah, that's it. Well, yeah, no, that's exactly
so he did
right.
the interview with him, and they turned around and then they clickbait him.
So here's his response to that. That's not what was proposed or how it was presented. Maybe evaluate the idea before just assuming and make it an aggregate headline. Championship Saturday, each conference have play-in games to the 16-team playoff instead of having a selection committee. That's the idea that happens in December. So that's from Eli Drinkwitz, and I kind of like the fact he was bringing up the fact that, listen, we know who's going to get these at-large bids. We know the names of them, the logos, etc. So earlier this week, it was, I think, in fact, Katie Rader sent me a direct message, and I'd already read this. I don't think we ever discussed it, about the story that Texas Tech, when they have to pay NIL, is paying 30% more because of getting people to Lubbock. It was an absolutely ridiculous headline. I'm not saying that there might not need to be more to go to certain schools, but they got blasted for that because there was kind of just like a note in a tweet after that story had been written. Is almost as if someone said, hey, you need to make sure this is included in this story. And obviously Tech fans are furious about it. I get that. And I'm not sure really why that tweet had to go up either. But there's a couple of times this week where it's happened.
That story was just ridiculous. But
the story was a good story about the questioning whether you have to pay somebody 30% more to go to Lubbock. I get the thought there, but to just like add that in later on down the line that day, as if someone needed, hey, by the way, you need to make sure this is a part of your story. It just, to me, was kind of a cheap shot.
Yeah, that was a cheap shot. That's all I was going to – I don't even want to really dignify it. We've talked about it at length about how stupid it's now gotten. I do think that, like, some places might have to play a little bit above market if they've never won anything major before, just because it's proof of concept. It's just like any other walk of life. But to the 30-team playoff thing, when I first read the headline, I was like, 30? I don't know how he's going to make it work. But if you told me that championship weekend, which is like last year was kind of boring and a little bit inconsequential for something like the SEC championship didn't really matter all that much. Like it was just for seeding. Like they were both going to get to play. Like the only thing that was different with the SEC championship is that one team was going to have to play another game.
Yeah.
And
the other one got a bye.
And the other one got a bye. So that to me is not enough drama. This for me feels like the closest you can come to a conference tournament for football. So if you told me there were a bunch of games on championship weekend on Friday and Saturday night, and there was a big chance for, heck, if you're talking about, 30, all these different things, if there's a chance for the number, 20 team to knock out the number 4 team or something like that crazy, hell, I'd watch that. Like that'd be great.
So if you don't win on championship weekend, you're done?
I would love that. I would love real consequences. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
so have you been for this the entire time we've talked about it?
No.
Just now?
I'm not totally against that. Like I'm for fixing championship weekend. Now, look, if that's all it is, it's just a conference tournament for teams getting in, then that's fine. But if it's anything more than that, then no. Because that's what it feels like to me as a conference basketball tournament.
Yeah, that's what the idea's always been.
Well, conference basketball tournaments give you an automatic bye or an automatic berth into the tournament, but other teams can still make the playoff.
Yeah, am I getting judged here? I don't know. I'm
confused. What?
No, I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of I don't hate the idea. I still just want 12 or 16.
No, I followed up a question with you.
Yeah.
I asked about if, in fact, you do not win on championship weekend, are you out of the college football playoff?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I would like to see. I'd like to see real stakes on something. If you're going to do that, you have to have real stakes.
There's nobody that would agree to that part.
Are we going to turn around and see that Ohio State could be number 1 in the country, lose on championship weekend, and be out? Hell yeah, I'd be for that.
Yeah, but that's not what it's going to be.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
because
that's what he said it was going to be, though.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm just asking the question. You don't need to get defensive about it. It's just I was trying to make sure what you were saying is because we've talked about the play-in thing for 6 months, and I don't think we've ever really been all that on board. And then now you're like, dude, that'd be badass. And it's like, okay, well, I guess he's saying it a different version.
But the play-in, the way it was described before, was the 6 and 7 teams and stuff like that.
Yeah.
No, I don't want that garbage. I want if there's going to be a play-in, then everybody should have to play it in.
Right. Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
It shouldn't just be oh well. All right, good luck, Cincinnati. Good luck, Mississippi State, on your greatest year ever. Good luck. No, look.
That's what I was trying to get clarification on because that's been talked about. Let's have the 6 plays the 4, and then the 2 and the 3 they don't even play, and the number 1's already got their first round bye, and it's so we're having this mid playoff instead of championship games.
That
I
hate. But if you're telling me that Alabama's going to play Vanderbilt and Vanderbilt could knock them out, that's drama. That's what I want. Can Duke go out and knock out Clemson? Sure, yeah, let's do it. Let's do that because championship weekend. I mean, what's to it? It's championship weekend is about to go the way of most of the bowl games. Where you're why am I watching this other than just to watch a football game?
I mean, I'm watching it to see the conference champion crowned. I mean, I think this whole the conference championship doesn't matter at all talk that's had a lot of permeation through conversations these last few months has been really interesting to see. Is with the bigger conferences, especially, why would we not want to pit the top 2 teams against each other? It's oh, well, they're already in the playoff anyways. Well, now they're not even playing on conference championship weekend, and now we're having Mississippi State or somebody playing on championship weekend. Who would I rather watch? Ohio State versus Michigan, or would I rather watch Mississippi State versus Arkansas to try to win a game to go play Oklahoma to win a game to go be in the play? And so I get where there's interest in that, but I just think the way that conference championship weekends kind of been brushed aside since we have these bigger conferences is not something I totally agree with because a lot of these teams don't play each other. And they just get crowned the regular season conference champion based off of the draw they got and whether they're good enough to compete against that draw. So I don't know, man. I like seeing Arizona State. Yeah, they blew out Iowa State, so it wasn't entertaining. But I think where my issue is, I just don't need to be constantly entertained 24/7. I guess I don't need everything to have monster stakes on it for me to be entertained by it or for it to matter to me. But I feel like in sports now, everything has to have something on the line. And I think a lot of it has to do with the gambling culture that's around now, which I'm not saying is wrong or not, but it's nobody can just watch a game and then just turn it off and move on from it. It's it's got to have a parlay involved and it's got to have an elimination involved and it's got to have, and I don't know, man, I just don't need everything to be turned to 10 all the time. So I'm just maybe not the audience they're going for at this point. But his idea, it wasn't presented the exact way, I guess, that he said it. I'm not against playing games to some degree, but yeah, I'm more in line with you. I want to see the teams that matter. I don't want to see the middle of the pack competing now where we would have seen the best teams playing for a title. Now, the person who, Texas is they're your SEC champion last year, right?
Well, technically, Georgia was.
But they wouldn't have played under that's what I'm saying.
No, yeah. Technically, because of the way the tournament are in
depending
football,
on what format you did. If you're doing that format that Paul's talking about, where it's oh well, they're already in the playoff, and so Texas wins the title, and Georgia's already in, and so and so's already in, and now Alabama has to play for it. Now that's somewhat interesting, but Yeah, it's the never-ending conversation around the playoff. Everybody has their opinions on it. I don't know what's best necessarily. I'm open ears, but I do think that we're getting into like the weeds of trying to well, no, now it's double elimination, but only if you play in the western side of this. It's like we're getting to that point now with all these damn ideas.
If you're going to expand it that much, there have to be real stakes in that the elites have to have the risk. Otherwise, what are we doing? Like, if you're swapping out, the 6th or 7th team based on just that random playoff game, to me, that's not the stakes you want. You would want everybody in the conference to have to play one, so there's real stakes that you could lose on what is now championship weekend and wind up not in the playoff. That's the only reason worth doing it.
Then they would never do it.
Well, I mean, because
otherwise, if Texas, Georgia.
Well, that's what he says.
Yeah.
He says the brand bias, and I like that he actually said that.
But,
he also mentioned Epstein at the podium today, said, I will not be answering questions about Jeffrey Epstein, which was funny. He's definitely a different dude. But, I'm glad that he acknowledged the brand bias. I think that's refreshing to hear from a coach in the SEC in particular when they either throw that around like the big weight that it is, or they ride the coattails of those that actually do that. He's actually just saying there's brand bias, which everybody knows. And if you don't notice it or you deny that it's there, then you are totally in denial about the sport itself. I like that he said that part, and he addressed a couple of other things as well. But it seems like you can, first of all, the first thing I thought is I wish Mike Leach was still around for all of this. My gosh, I wish he was around to be a part of the playoff conversation. He'd have already had the 128 team playoff idea probably out there at this point after having 64 years ago and have a good reason as to why. That would have been fascinating to see him when it actually is a conversation of what he would have thrown in as far as his 2 cents goes.
Yeah, it's interesting. It was a little bit of a different idea. That's kind of what brought you up, is a different idea from Eli Drinkwitz, and he actually took the complete opposite stance. That maybe his commissioner, his conference, and ESPN want to hear.
Yeah, and
good for him.
Yeah, no, it's like I said, if we're going to do that, and look, I don't want the conference championship weekend devalued, but they've devalued it. So either they have to find a way to re-enhance that.
It's devalued because you make the playoff regardless, but doesn't winning the game still mean something?
It does,
but Arizona State wouldn't have made it.
But okay. But it's not, it does not, okay. It doesn't carry the same weight in every league.
No, absolutely not.
So the stakes are different in every single league. I would like to see the stakes be the same in every single league. So how do you do that with the conference championship game? You have to enhance that and put real consequences on it somehow. I don't know how that is, because I know that Eli Drinkwitz's idea will never come up. But if you have Penn State and Oregon, both were going to the playoff. Texas and Georgia were both going to the playoff. Clemson and SMU were both not necessarily going to the playoff.
We didn't know that, but
if SMU wins that game, Clemson's not in because they have too many losses, right?
That was going to happen without a play-in format. That was happening regardless last year.
So, but the ACC may not have gotten 2 teams. They might have, so there were some
So there were stakes, yeah.
There were stakes on that one. There were stakes on the Big 12, but they weren't really on the other ones.
No,
because it was
because Iowa State would have gone.
Yeah, Iowa State, but Arizona State and Iowa State both needed to win that game to guarantee their spot.
Right.
And the loser wasn't guaranteed anything, as opposed to those other 2 leagues where the loser only had to play another game. That's what I'm saying. The stakes were different across all 4 leagues. And that to me is not, that's what they need to fix.
Yeah, it's different. So it's kind of like college football in general, of having the same rules for everybody doesn't make any sense. So I'm all for being open-minded, and not everything has to remain super traditional. I think we just tossed the conference. It doesn't mean anything, just to the side. It meant something to Arizona State last year. It meant something to Clemson last year. So it's not all or nothing. I don't get that argument. But I'm open-minded. The playoff talk, though, we got to settle on something, for God's sakes, man. It's going round and round in circles, and I've seen some interesting play-in ideas. I also want to know from the people that are proposing, are we playing till March? Is that when the season ends now?
That's kind of what was brought up.
Are we playing 25 games a year for these guys suddenly?
The chat room, and I'm not going to be able to read everybody, but here's an example from General Ursus. I'm sick of this crap, to be honest. Let's just get rid of the playoffs, go back to the old system. No system is perfect. You can go to the NFL style format. Paxton, who's a UT fan, who's rolling right now, said he's getting more and more frustrated and turned off by it all. A lot of you are saying that. Some of you, you're just kind of tired of it. It seems like there's always something instead of like who is going to make or win a certain conference or a national championship.
My point is raise the stakes for everything. So make sure that there's something, because again, with these big conferences, you're going to wind up with these things. That's what I think we've lost is that, and what I worry about happening is that you don't care about the conference title so much, especially maybe even in a 16-team format where there's more. Like you don't care enough because you're more than likely going to have to play in that first round anyway, unless you're one of those, one of the top 4 bye teams or whatever it is. Well, I guess 16 they play every week. Then why am I going to go all out in it? Why are you not going to wind up in the NFL? And then it winds up a thing like the NFL. You know how many division titles the Cowboys have won since they last won their Super Bowl?
A chunk.
Yeah, and you know what it means?
Nothing.
Diddly poo.
They got to buy.
Nothing.
Sometimes they got to buy and they still didn't make it.
And sometimes it doesn't mean they have a buy. If they weren't, like now the way the NFL playoff format works, you can win your division and still have to play in the first round. You've just got a medal, but you won the East or the South. You won
the division and you're in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's great. But again, when it's been 30 years before you've hoisted the trophy, you get tired of being like, they won the division.
Yeah, but they still got something for winning the division.
Yeah.
They didn't get it they didn't get automatically a first round bye, but they did get something.
Yeah.
Let's just go back to 8 teams. They never did 8.
Hell, I was excited for
4 to 12.
I was excited for 30 seconds yesterday when the whole conversation about the Big Ten and SEC, and before my eyes absolutely glazed over with that headline again, when it said maybe we just stay at 12, I was like, whoa, hell yeah. Maybe we just stay at 12 and we figure all of this out. And I know that's not likely when we asked Brando about it. I mean, not that he's necessarily got the answer all the time, but he talks to enough people and knows enough that especially in the TV business, he understands they're not going to stop there. But yeah, for a second, I was like, you mean we can just sit in something and let it see if it works and if it's great or not? And no, we can't do that. So yeah, now it's on to the next thing. And I just think this offseason has been dominated by legal stuff, which is the case for the last 3 years. And that's fine to some degree. But I know for me, it gets really old. And so the fact they've made some steps forward in that regard is great. But the other side of it's been dominated by playoff talk. And yeah, they're talking about the playoffs so much, they're turning people away from the thing they've always wanted. And they're going about it in a way where it's just, you see where it's being tilted and the bias is coming in. And I think people have got tired head over that. I think it's interesting to talk about ideas and whatnot, but when we start talking about multiple play-in games and this weekend and that weekend, I just think it gets kind of confusing. And so maybe when we actually settle on something and you lay it out in front of me, I'll go, okay, there it is in black and white. But in the meantime, it's just it's just confusing. It's confusing because there's a lot of different ideas and not everybody is anywhere nearly on the same page for it all.
We'll have Sam Kahn, Craig and Paul. Thank you. We'll have Sam Kahn, theathletic.com. He'll join us today on the show. We have a lot of different guests, in fact, on the show today, but he'll be our first here just around the corner. Let me read this from Bracket Cat. The system that Paul is describing would have absolutely reduced the Big 12 to a one bid league in multiple years, where otherwise both the conference championship game participants would have made a 16-team field. Madness. That's from Bracket Cat. Appreciate the feedback.
Well, no, not if Eli Drinkwitz is telling the truth in that the winners of all those games, he said 3 play-in games, they'd get 3.
Each conference play-in game winner would get 3.
Yeah,
but again, that's not going to be agreed upon.
No, we know that. I was just breaking down the idea in the sense of, it's not going to happen, but but if he's bringing it up, breaking down how it works, so no, they would get 3. They'd be promised 3.
In 97, when Michigan and Nebraska split the national title, right? There was discussion for a long time about who won the national title. 2 teams did. Earth did not implode. College football went on. There was, a lot of discussion about it. Eventually, we need to BCS, and then there was a couple other controversies. But it never carried like months into the offseason.
Also, look, his math is 4-4-3-3 and not 3-3-3-2, 2-2, letting some of the other conferences play against each other or something like that and get into the tournament. So I think Eli Drinkwitz just pretty much eliminated the G6 in that conversation when it comes to 16. So
yeah, I suppose that he did. So it's an interesting idea that obviously has got a lot of people up in arms calling him crazy and it's a stupid idea and whatnot. But the chatter continues and they're nowhere closer to apparently deciding on what they're going to do. Although I'm sure like at some point we'll just wake up on a Tuesday and big announcement, PR release, Sankey and Petiti have locked arms on something and they've decided how it's all going to be. I mean, they're ultimately going to be the ones deciding on it. But yeah, like when we get into the play-in game and all that kind of conversation, I think the details matter. Not all ideas are the same. And, some of the ones I've seen, you're giving some teams buys, but then you're risking your 2 seed playing your 8 seed. And it's confusing.
Oh, all right. Well, there's that. Thank you, Eli, for giving us the first 30 minutes of the show. Sam Kahn will join us next. Again, we're on until 6. We've got a lot more to get to today. Connor O'Gara from Saturday Down South will join us. Brent Ciancia from Pick 6 Previews will join us today at 4:25. We'll have Off the Radar. We'll look at LSU's schedule. We'll also have Mickey Spagnola on the Cowboys and Paul's Top 5. Hit the subscribe button or subscribe to the channel if you have not. We'd appreciate that. And also the like button, too. I'm David Smoak. This is 365 Sports.
Now at Bird Collision Ford, we're bringing you an offer that's as big as America. Employee pricing for everyone. You pay what they pay. That means you drive home a new Ford F-150, Bronco Sport, Expedition, Super Duty. From America, for America. Employee pricing for everyone at BK Ford. Looking to sell your vehicle? Get top dollar for yours today. Don't miss out. Employee pricing is available for a limited time. Visit us anytime at bkford.com. Experience better at BK Ford.
I'll never get used to this. I'll never get used to this. This is how I wanna live. Forever we'll be singing like, oh, I'll never get used to this. I'll never get used to this. I'll never get used to this. This is how I wanna live. Forever we'll be singing like, oh, I'll never get used to this.
Whatever it is you wrangle, whatever seeds you sow, no matter what you nurture or what you choose to grow, at Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, we're proud to protect all Texans.
This is 365 Sports.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
Sam Kahn, theathletic.com. He's joined us kind of every other week. It's been, he's busy. And then also with a little bit of time off as well. Sam, good to see you again. How's your summer?
Busy, like you said, but good. How was yours?
It's going good. It's going good. We still have, well, it all depends if you're involved in high school football or not, about 3 to 4 weekends left before it's shutdown time. But good to see you. Thank you for being a part of the show. We just had a discussion. Eli Drinkwitz, part of one of the teams on the clock today, about the playoffs. In the end, if you could wave a wand, how would you wave your wand? How many teams would be under the wand, and how would you get to there?
I would either go with 16 or 24. My perfect number is 16. It's your 10 conference champions and 6 at-larges. I think that's enough. It gives every conference champion a bid, which if you are in the same subdivision which in the FBS you are, then you should have a qualification path. And well, if you're independent, good luck. You got to get an at-large bid. But it that gives you every champion, and then that gives you 6 additional at-large teams, which if we're talking determining a national champion, if you can't win your conference or be one of the 6 best, then sorry, you can't be in it. But if we want to go beyond that because the power conferences want to have all their teams in, then let's do 24, because you know where that works? You know who does 24? The FCS. And it happens to be pretty good. And it works well every year. And they have, I believe, 10 conference champions and 14 at-larges. Why can't we do that? There's nothing wrong with that, in my opinion. So to me, anything that requires additional subjectivity for additional conference automatic bids beyond the champion is a non-starter. I don't think there's any point to that other than just getting money for your conference. To me, the NFL doesn't do that. The NBA doesn't say, well, the Western Conference gets this many teams in the playoffs and the Eastern Conference gets only this many. That's bullshit. So just a conference champion and then the rest at largest, and you can make it as big as you want. But I think to me, the 2 numbers are 16 or 24, depending on how large you want the field to be.
That just makes so much sense. I love Sam Conn.
Yeah.
On the 24 part.
Look, we just got done talking about it, Sam. I don't hate Eli Drinkwitz's idea in that it makes that weekend have consequences for everybody. As where last year, if you just look at the ACC and Big 12, there were playoff consequences, on that. If Clemson doesn't win, the ACC only gets 1 team, right? They only get SMU. Maybe Miami, because of Cam Ward, like maybe they sneak in there, but I don't think that they would have gotten in over Alabama. It would have been Alabama. And then Arizona State and Iowa State, like only one of them was going to get in. Whoever won that was going to make the tournament. So as where in the other 2 conferences, it didn't really matter other than playing that extra game. So the stakes were a little bit different. Like, oh, bummer, I'm not the conference champion, but I'm still playing in this thing. I like that aspect of it, but like it does seem a little too big, and the Alabamas of the world would never go for it.
And here's what I would say is I don't understand what is the obsession of cooking up championship weekend. We have a playoff now. Why does conference championship weekend have to matter? Just figure out a way to determine a champion how about just go by the standings instead of doing a game? How about let's just look at the standings. Whoever's number 1, you put that team in the playoff from that conference. And if you need a tiebreaker, well, you formulate your tiebreakers accordingly. I don't understand why we need conference championships when we have double-digit teams in the playoff. That's the whole reason why it becomes a conversation. And the SEC and the Big Ten are trying to kick it. Well, how do we dress up the final weekend? You don't need to. You get teams in the playoff. Like they're just trying to figure out a way to have more games and make more money and make it more interesting. But you have to, if you don't like that the SEC already has 2 teams in there in the conference championship game, then don't play the game. Like I don't understand why we have to continuously force a conference championship game when it may have outlived its utility.
Yeah, I think you hit on it when you said what you said, the word money. I mean, that's really why there's that conversation. There's a little bit of the access part to it as well.
The size of the conference, too. I mean, when you have a 16-team conference, but again, we're in that position because of money. So
right. Yeah, so it all comes back to money eventually. But, I'm with you, man. I said earlier, I guess I don't need everything to have stakes on it all the time and always have like this life or death aspect to it. But I know that's kind of, this is kind of what people need now, I guess, to be interested in some things, right? SEC Media Days, that obviously was a big talking point, was Eli Drinkwitz's quotes there, Sam. But we're here on day 4. They're wrapping up today. What's caught your attention, if anything, from what's been going on at SEC Media Days?
Lane Kiffin saying people are going outside the cap to spend on their rosters, which, hello, what conference do you coach in? You coach in the SEC. That's mostly it. To me, Media Days is a really fun time and a good event to bring awareness, but I feel like they've outlived their utility a little bit in this age, just because to me, when I first started covering this sport, I felt like after spring football, we all moved on to other sports and did other things before college football came back. And then Media Days was the big, hey, college football's almost here, let's go. Now that we talk about the sport year round and there's roster movement to track year round and all this other stuff, it's to me, I don't pay as close attention to if I'm not there, which I wasn't. I don't pay as close attention to it as I used to. I did find the Sark walking up the Aggie Warham thing pretty funny. I don't know who made that mistake, but it would not have been as funny as if it was Florida's fight song. It made it much more funnier that it was the Aggie Warham. But yeah, I will say the Arch Manning comments were interesting to see him say and come out and be a little bit self-deprecating and say, hey, I don't know who these people are that make these predictions. I've got to go out and prove it. I've only played 2 games. That was interesting to hear because you don't really hear that a lot from guys, especially guys getting the kind of publicity he does. But he also has probably been media coached very well.
Sam Comm with us, theathletic.com. Sam, Craig put this note, showed it to me, that a lot of our fans and viewers, they're kind of worn out by this college football playoff talk. But until it's settled, you can't let it go away. I mean, it's a big deal. It's deciding what we want to see. Who's the damn national champion?
No doubt it is. And that's why I think there's so much conversation about it, is because what you don't want is 2 leagues taking the whole thing over and just having it their way. Everybody, I think, wants an equitable access to get to a national champion, to get to a playoff and then to determine the national champion. I think that's fair. Well, when I say everyone, I mean the fans and observers and people who watch the sport. I think the only ones who don't want that are the ones who have the real stakes in it, which are the people in power. But yeah, no, it is important. But we are also 2 weeks away from camp starting for most of these teams. And let's be honest, there's 136 teams in the FBS. Only 12 of them are going to make the playoff. There's stakes for teams beyond the 12 that are going to make it. And so that's what I'm excited. Like I look at the Big 12 and I'm very excited to see what we're going to have this year from a competitive standpoint from top to bottom, because there's so much, I guess, variation that you could see between this league from top to bottom. I'm certainly interested to see if Texas can run it back in the SEC and get back to the title game in the conference, or if they can even get back into the semis or even the championship game this year. Certainly interested to see what Penn State's going to do. If are they going to finally be that team? So to me, I'm in the point where, yeah, like when they decide to playoff, let me know. But I'm ready. Camp starting in a couple weeks. I'm ready for football.
Sam, a lot of talk about Billy Napier in Florida the last couple of days and DJ Lagway and being healthy and what they brought around. We went over their schedule last week, and I think it's such a unique situation that after about 6-7 weeks, he's either going to be fired or he's going to get the fattest extension that Florida can throw at him because of the way not the very first part, but the early part of their schedule lines up with the teams they have to play. That's A&M and Texas and Miami and then obviously the cocktail party. So like that bye week before the cocktail party could be the best or worst week of his life.
Yeah, and I feel like we did this with Billy last year, right? There was so much talk about him being potentially on the chopping block, and then even after they lost that game to A&M at home early in the year, a lot of speculation about whether or not he would survive, and he did, because people have started to figure out if you fire the coach in this era, you're going to lose a lot of players, and that's where a player like DJ Lagway had a lot of power, is because DJ Lagway can go say, well, if you fire that coach, I'm leaving. Well, guess what? DJ Lagway is pretty damn important to that team. So I'm going to say cautiously optimistic on Florida, and mainly because I am a big believer in DJ Lagway's talent. He's a physical freak. You watch him throw the football. He's got so much torque, and he delivers it. It comes out of his hands so well. I think he's mobile enough. Like, he's not going to be Lamar Jackson, but he's pretty mobile and can make things happen on the move. He's a big guy. And then I feel like he's got all the intangible parts too. Like, you listen to him talk and he sounds mature beyond his years, and the way he approaches recruitment out of high school and the way he's approached everything since he's been to Florida, very professional. And so I love that about him. And I think the ceiling with him is really high. And so to me, that gives Florida a chance. Yes, Miami, tough. But that Texas is going to probably be the toughest one in that stretch. And you get A&M, and then on the back end you get the cocktail party. But it is tough. But I really do think that they're going to have the talent and be equipped to compete in all of those games.
What's your confidence level in Oklahoma bouncing back this year and Brent Venables being able to kind of salvage that situation?
I would say pretty high, just because the talent acquisition. I mean, they did as good a job in the portal as almost anybody. They made all the changes they needed to make from a talent acquisition standpoint, both in the front office and actually adding to the roster. John Mateer, you talked to guys. We were just finishing, me and Antonio Morales just finished ranking all these quarterbacks, and the feedback that you hear from coaches and guys that have faced him, guys that have scouted him, guys that have seen him live. I feel like everybody we talk to loves John Mateer. And even with the step up in competition, going from playing mostly Pac-12 or Mountain West competition to going to the SEC, there's a lot of confidence out there, even outside of Oklahoma, just neutral observers who think him with Ben Arbuckle at Oklahoma is going to really take off. You add Jaden Ott, who, when healthy, real electrifying, really good player. They loaded up on the offensive line and shored up that part. I think they have a chance to really be interesting and be in that mix. Are they going to play for a conference title? I don't know, but it's not going to shock me in the least to see them in the conversation in November if they are.
If they aren't, and they go 6-7, 7-6, how dangerous is it going to be for them? And obviously the Venables story, Castiglione's, he's leaving. A lot of changing, moving parts. But if they don't prop themselves back up with at least an 8-4 that might be with some nice quality wins, are they about to be Nebraska?
No, I wouldn't go that far because and the reason why I won't go that far is because I do like what they did from getting that front office set up. And it looks to me like they're committed to doing what they need to do to acquire players at a high clip. So to me, just they hired Jim Nagy and he hired that front office. If Brent Venables gets canned, that apparatus is staying. The player acquisition part, I think, is probably going to stay because Nagy was not hired by Venables. So that, to me, that's why they set it up that way, is they put them basically even on the org chart, so to speak. And so that, I think they did that to insulate themselves from the constant up and down that can come with roster turnover when you fire a coach. And with Castiglione going out, certainly if you have a new AD, that puts everybody a little bit on thin ice. But I think if they go 6-7 or 6-6, I don't think Brent Venables survives that. I just can't see that. Not after the 2 of the first 3 years winning 6 games. To me, they've got to win 9 games or 10 games and get that thing going back in the right direction. But I don't think they're in that danger because I think there's still a commitment there. And I still think they have enough close access to talent, like they're close to the state of Texas. And they're clearly have funds from an NIL standpoint to go get guys. They have personnel apparatus to go get guys. So I don't think I would go that far yet. But that conversation would start. You would start having people ask, is OU ever going to be great again? I just don't. I couldn't see them going that far into the wilderness just yet.
Yeah, you know who really hopes they go like 9-3 or 10-2 is whoever the new athletic director is going to be. Like that way, they don't have to really worry about it. They can go, okay, all right, I don't have to come in here and revamp the whole thing because that's all they're going to want from me. They won't care about anything else. Sam, do you think that there is a kind of a random dark horse in the SEC after this week? I mean, everybody's big on LSU. Everybody's kind of big on Alabama. You know, there's a lot of new quarterbacks in the league too, so it's hard to kind of tell where people are going to be without seeing those guys play that much so far. Is there like a random dark horse you feel good about in that league?
A random dark horse, probably Texas A&M or Auburn. Those would be the two. A&M because you saw how close they were to playing for an SEC title game last year. Of course, we know it fell apart at the end. But I really like what they did in upgrading what I thought was their biggest albatross position-wise was wide receiver. They couldn't get guys open against Notre Dame. They couldn't get guys open against Texas. And they addressed that in a big way. They got a 5-star recruit out of high school. They got multiple guys in the portal. And I think Marcel Reed going to year 2 of that offense, I think is going to take off. They bring back a lot on the offensive line in the backfield. They got to shore up the run defense. That's going to be the big thing for them. But I think they could be an interesting one. And I think Auburn is one that I'm high on just because I'm still a Jackson Arnold believer. And I think his skill set fits what Hugh Freeze does offensively really well. I think Freeze is going to be really good for him. They also went and got some weapons. They got Eric Singleton. You know, Cam Coleman's about to be a sophomore, and I think he's such a dynamic talent receiver. And they still, to me, have a roster that is an SEC roster that can compete. And so I think they could be sneaky interesting, sneaky good this year. Those would be the two that I'm most interested in.
One thing, obviously, Sam, you and Antonio Morales did a combo piece. College football's 2025 quarterback tiers, ranking the FBS's projected starters 1 to 136, which had to have been quite the project.
Yes.
Quite the project. And then I saw that you have your tier 1. I think you have 10 quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody in that 10 that you were surprised made the 10?
Josh Hoover. When we first started in drafting this list, by the way, this was a project that took a lot of time. It was basically my life in the month of June. I think Antonio and I probably took a couple of months, but really 6 weeks of really focused work. We talked to more than 40 coaches and staffers around the country to solicit their opinions on who the best guys were in the country, how the guys that they've seen up close in person, how they stack up, how the guys in their own conference stack up, and who they thought were the best in the country. But when we looked at tier 1 initially, I thought it was going to be smaller than 10. And we didn't put a fixed number on each tier. We tried to just separate it based on where we thought where the natural drop-off was and where the drop-off in feedback came from in terms of how high guys were, what kind of criticisms they got. But Josh Hoover being in tier 1 was not something I expected coming in. But the reason he ended up being in tier 1 for us is because almost universally, every coach either that has faced him or coach in the Big 12 that we talked to said that is the best pure passer in the Big 12. Not necessarily the dynamic athlete that Sam Levitt is, but in terms of a pure thrower of the ball, really, really good. Then you look at his production and how you've seen his game grow. I wouldn't have expected to have him in tier 1. Sam Levitt, maybe he was a borderline 1, 2, I think, but after seeing him in person up close, I mean, I guess going into last season, you wouldn't have had this guy on any list. But to me, watching what he did, especially in the Peach Bowl and the skill set and what they have coming back around him, I don't want to say it was consensus number 1, but I think a lot of people felt that was the best in class Big 12 quarterback. So those are the two guys. The rest of the ones, I guess I mentioned earlier, John Mateer. I think Mateer, I don't know that I would have slam dunked Mateer number 1, but man, everybody we talked to loved Mateer. And I talked to a coach just a little while ago who was at the Manning Passing Academy and said, Mateer against all those other guys when they did the Friday night college quarterback thing, Mateer stacked up well against all those guys. And so that's he is in our top 5, which I think is going to probably surprise some people. But that's the feedback that we get, and that's what the coaches feel like is that he may be one of the best ones in the country this year.
Sam, last you and I talked via social media, I was criticizing you for skipping out on media days, which clearly, I mean, I'm sure your writing had something to do with it and your family had something to do with it, but it did coincide with the release date of EA College Football 26. Now, I have not gotten to play it for quite as long because I did have to go to media days without my PlayStation. I will say it is way harder. And this is from the old man. Like I had gotten used to the other one. And now I'm like, oh, now I have to learn this whole thing again, which I'm enjoying, but it is certainly harder.
Yeah. There's more plays, number one. And there's all this motion and all these different RPOs that they've thrown in, which they had some of that last year, but they expanded in a big way. And it's a lot of fun. Part of the reason I missed media days is because we were working on this quarterback project. But part of it, it didn't hurt that the game came out. Then what I really messed up was I mistimed my vacation. I took the vacation the week before the game came out. What I should have done is I should have taken vacation the week the game came out, because then it would have been a lot easier to squeeze more game time in. But alas, it's a rookie move on my part. Next year I'll have to, once the release date comes, then I'll wait and put my vacation date in then and time it up more properly.
Well, we need to do like an all media online dynasty.
I love that. I think let's do it. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Sam, last thing. What's the most unique something behind you that you have in your background?
Let's see. Okay, so if you guys see the Dream Book,
I saw that.
A book about Akeem Olajuwon.
On the shelf.
Under that there is a photo. It is a photo of me on the Paul Feinbaum show, but the guy next to me is the one that's really important. It's the late Ed Ashoff, a dear friend of mine who I worked with at ESPN, who passed away in late 2020. He was only 34 years old. That was a gift for my wife. I had that photo on my Twitter header for basically years after Ed had passed. And then about a couple years ago, she took that photo and put it like on a canvas, on a frame, and she gave it to me as a gift. And so it's been hanging up in my office ever since. And so I like to keep that photo. Just think Ed and I were pretty close when we worked together. And, his passing was a very, painful moment for all of us. And that worked with him or close with him and crossed paths with him. And he was a great inspiration to me. And, fortunately, the FWA, they name a writing award about the rising star. Shehan J. Raja, a good friend of mine, just really recently won that award for young reporters under 34. And that's the most special thing to me and probably the most unique thing because initially it was just like, hey, back when it happened, that appearance was, I think, 2015 or 2016 when we went. And that was in the SEC Network studios in Charlotte at the time. It was just cool. It was like, hey, it's a photo of us on TV. But that became more near and dear to my heart after we lost that. So that's probably the most unique piece. The other thing, I didn't put it up today, but I recently acquired a signed Earl Campbell Houston Oilers helmet. So once I get a case for that, that will go back here behind me because I'm a sucker for Houston Oilers gear because I grew up as an Oilers fan.
Well, yeah, he is amazing. We know the story with him, obviously. We got some Earl Campbell memorabilia too. Yeah, Sam, thank you. Appreciate your time, Havrick. It's good to see you back. Now, I think, when is it? Now, you and I have gone over your schedule in July. So what is next for you?
I'm going to Texas High School Coach Association, going to coaching school this weekend. And so I'll be around next week, and then I'm going the week after that I'll be off.
Yeah, right before August. Thanks for your time, Sam. Come with us on Thursdays at 3:30 here on 365 Sports. He'll be with us again next week. Coming up next, we're not done. Lot to get to. Connor O'Gara from Saturday Down South, his thoughts about the week and the last couple of weeks with media days, college football, and more. He's next. This is 365 Sports. And the Baylor Alumni Fan Engagement group with Paul Thorpe and also with Doug Furch, they have already put together what they have coming up for the game when Baylor plays at SMU. The tailgate, Bears on the road, including the Bush Library on the SMU campus. Also, Nick Florence, the guest speaker, featured speaker, when they have the kickoff luncheon in August, which will be, of course, on the Baylor campus. All of that and more. If you want to go on the road and have some sort of tailgate presence outside of what happens in Waco, wherever they play, like they're in Tucson, I think, this year. If that's what you want to do, they'll have some sort of appearance. They'll have some sort of presence. And if you want to know more, go to their Facebook page, the Baylor Alumni Fan Engagement, Paul Thorpe and Doug Furch.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Pizza, burgers, and Bears football. There's no place around Waco that serves them all other than Bubba's 33. Come show your green and gold and enjoy some of Waco's best food and beverages while watching your favorite team, the Bears. When real Bears fans get hungry, Bubba's 33 is the #1 spot for ice-cold drinks, hand-stretched, stone-baked pizzas, and bacon-infused burgers. Join us for indoor or patio dining. Bubba's 33, Waco's restaurant and proud supporter of Baylor Bears football. Sick 'em, Bears.
Don Humidor, your home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the #1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. Don Humidor in the Townwood Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
Ready to take your business to the next level? Carrion Solutions has got you covered. We deliver world-class IT consulting, including Quest On Demand and Migration Manager, M365 and Exchange migrations, Active Directory assessments, security hardening, and Windows Server upgrades. Our experts specialize in consulting, monitoring, support, and managed IT services. We promise vision, professionalism, and unbeatable value. Satisfaction guaranteed. If you're not happy, we make it right. Remember the name Carrion Solutions. For more info, email sales@carrionsolutions.com or visit carrionsolutions.com. That's CARRION solutions.com. Carrion Solutions, IT success guaranteed.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
This is 365 Sports. Text us at 254-339-1122. The text line is sponsored by Riverbend's Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
Connor O'Gara, one of the greats that covers college football, senior national columnist for Saturday Down South. He joins us on 365 Sports. And Connor, thank you very much for your time. I thought Mike Elko had kind of a nice note today when he got on stage, and he said, anyone expecting what, the Eyes of Texas is going to be disappointed?
You know, really, really nice way to start it off in the final press conference of the day of the week, to be able to kind of get us back awake and all of a sudden realizing, oh yeah, Mike Elko's got jokes. It would have been incredible. And, you know, I asked the fine folks at TexAgs, did you guys set that up? Was that all just some elaborate A&M prank that you just had to bust out at SEC Media Days? It was not. In fact, they confirmed it was not. But yeah, it would have been a nice way to close out the week. I do think Elko deserves credit for at least addressing it.
Connor, do you think that A&M has made enough additions to what they lacked, and that Marcel Reed can be better enough to where, look, even though people don't really think of it this way, they were in it until the Texas game for a shot at the championship game. They were right there. Can they improve on last year?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you look at last year, being the last SEC team unbeaten in conference play and having a path to the playoff in the regular season finale, if you had told any A&M fan that the Aggies were going to check those two boxes in year one of the Elko era, they would have signed up for that 100 times out of 100. That's the positive. Obviously, the negative was still 8-4. And so the additions are going to be important, probably even more so on the defensive side of the ball than the offensive side of the ball. Casey Concepcion is going to be fascinating to me because the player he was a couple of years ago at NC State was a game changer. And I was a freshman All-American who could do a lot of things for an offense that didn't really have a ton going for it. Now, I do think that so much of this is going to be about Marcel Reed taking that next step, being able to attack downfield with those new transfer portal weapons at receiver. It's still going to be a run-first team, though. I mean, they return all 5 of those offensive linemen. Elko said they're top 7 offensive linemen. If they can get a healthy version of Le'Veon Moss, if Reuben Owens maximizes his potential, we're talking about a group that has a chance to be one of the better offenses in the SEC, and who knows, that could mean more November playoff relevance.
Connor, how are you kind of, framing Arkansas headed into this season? I mean, we know the talk surrounding Pittman, but bringing back guys like Taylon Green, they just sort of get lost in the shuffle, especially now that you have teams like Oklahoma and Texas to talk about as well. So what do you think the conversation should be or is around Arkansas heading into this season?
I don't think the conversation should be bleak, but I don't think it should be overly optimistic just because the roster turnover is unbelievable. I mean, it's truly amazing that they've had dozens and dozens of guys enter the portal. And over the course of the last 2 years, they haven't had coaching turnover, but they've had roster turnover. And those two things are not supposed to be, those two things aren't supposed to exist at the same time. So I do think that coaching continuity is big. Travis Williams is going to be getting a head coaching job at some point. Can he parlay a good season with that A&M, with that Arkansas defense into a coaching opportunity this year? Possibly. Can Bobby Petrino in year 2 with Taylon Green propel them to a better offense? I think that's possible. He's got to stay healthy. He's got to cut down on the mistakes. he's a quarterback that's so intriguing because not many guys are 6'6" that can run like he can. But I do think it's a team that's got a lot of questions. And because of how difficult the schedule is, it's a very limited ceiling for Sam Pittman.
Which of these two quarterbacks, and there might be 2 or 3 we could add to the list, DJ Lagway at Florida or Mateer at Oklahoma, might save the head coach's job?
DJ Lagway already has saved his head coach's
there you go.
job.
That's exactly
like I truly think, guys, if DJ Lagway is not at Florida, Billy Napier is no longer at Florida. And so as long as DJ Lagway has his shoulder intact, which is a huge, huge if that he was addressing seemingly with every other question this week at SEC Media Days. But as long as that's the case, then Florida's got more of a path to be able to keep Billy Napier than not. I mean, they can go 6-6, and Billy Napier could probably still have a job as long as Lagway is going to be a piece because he can't go to the NFL draft after this year. So I think the Mateer thing, obviously, he's very much tied to the future of Brent Venables. It feels like his future will be defined by whether or not the John Mateer, Ben Arbuckle duo works in Norman. You just can't be as bad as you were offensively last year when I just don't think anything about what they did looked like an Oklahoma offense. And obviously the injuries certainly contributed to that. But I think that both coaches have the ability to survive this year. So I'm going to say both of them could do that, even though Lagway already has.
You think Billy Napier is safe regardless?
I don't think he's safe regardless.
Outside of that collapse.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a certainty that he's safe, but it was such a different vibe this year compared to last year. And remember, he got the vote of confidence from Scott Strickland before the Texas game, and they got waxed by Texas because, you know, the defense just couldn't do anything and DJ Lagway was out. And so they're starting Aiden Warner, a transfer from Yale, and it was ugly. And then they end up winning 4 in a row to end the season when that was supposed to be the most difficult part of their schedule. So I think that Billy Napier is in a better place than some might think when it comes to job security, because if not for the Lagway piece, like this all looks different for Florida right now.
So Connor, it's media days, and we were just talking to our buddy Sam Kahn a few minutes ago, and just kind of picking his brain on last week with the Big 12, and he said, it's media days. I mean, it kind of is what it is. But have you had any thoughts change based on conversations or interviews or things this week, or perhaps whether that's a team being better or worse than you expected, or maybe a situation like a coaching deal with Billy Napier?
I know that he was the big ticket this week. Arch Manning gets it in ways that probably I didn't even realize. And look, I don't think I was an Arch skeptic at all. I wasn't one of these people saying like, oh, it's ridiculous, he's overrated, blah, blah, blah. I think Texas's offense can be really fun. I think you can do everything with him, and that's why we're talking about this Texas offense this way. But what you saw from Arch this week at SEC Media Days was someone who feels very ready for this moment. It's confident, but not cocky. It's a bit of calm. It's kind of an amazement that, he's able to be at this stage of his career, and that Texas has gotten to these places and he hasn't had to do any of the heavy lifting. I mean, he'd be the first to tell you he hasn't had to do any of that yet, but he seems very composed. He's pretty self-deprecating too, which Sark talked about that, and how he's pretty witty and good on his feet. And, there's a belief in him, and you can tell from his teammates that he might have had to wait his turn. And this might not have been the original plan when he committed to a 5-7 program. People forget he did that in the summer of 22, but this is a guy that is ready for this moment. And I think the more you talk to him, the more you realize like this guy isn't just getting by his last name. He's the real deal.
What would you say? There's the storyline of Arch, and you've mentioned we've asked you about some of the other players' material that he meant. What would you say is a story that came out of SEC Media Days that perhaps you weren't expecting, if anything?
Eli Drinkwitz talking about Lee Harvey Oswald and JFK and the Epstein files. Probably that. Can't say I saw that one coming. He did advocate for a 30-team playoff, which – look, I thought we were past the days of Mike Leach. What did Mike Leach want? Like a 68-team playoff?
Yeah. He wanted like
64?
March Madness. Yeah.
Yeah. So, hey, I didn't necessarily see that coming. I think he pretty much admitted If it's an 8-team field, Mizzou isn't getting in, and it's like, oh, okay, well, I just watched SMU and Indiana get into the field, but I guess you do you. I don't know. I think everything, with all due respect to, these coaches and players who come here and they get put through the ringer with this stuff, a lot of what comes out of their mouth is what we expect, right? I mean, it is what we expect to hear. And when I asked Hugh Freeze the other day if he was sick of having to defend his golf game, I didn't expect him to say, yeah, this is ridiculous. I hate this. I hate this job. I hate that it pays me so handsomely and I can't even enjoy a round of golf without hearing about my recruiting class. I don't expect him to have an answer like that, but I do think that there are always moments like that kind of stand out and make you go, oh, okay, all right, just file that one away. And there were definitely a few of those this week.
Do you think with Jackson Arnold, the wide receivers they have, that Hugh Freeze will be able to coach a little bit free and easier this year, or will it be tense until after the Iron Bowl?
I think it's going to be tense before the Iron Bowl. I think it's going to be a sweater of a year for him. And I think the receivers are legit. I love me some Cam Coleman. Eric Singleton, the transfer from Georgia Tech, is kind of exactly what they need in a post Keandre Lambert-Smith world. I think that they have the ability to take that next step as an offense if they can cut down on the turnovers. That's such a huge if after what Jackson Arnold showed last year. Those were really tough times with him in an offense that didn't have a lot of help. And you wonder if he fell into some bad habits, holding on to the football too long, not necessarily knowing how to be able to kind of keep plays alive and throw the ball downfield. And you're going to need to do that. It's the SEC, man. Like that's just reality. So I think that Auburn has too many things that give me pause, specifically Hugh Freeze, his late game decision making. They're 2-6 in one-score games since he's been there. I think I just have a tough time seeing beyond year 3 for Hugh Freeze on the Plains.
So, Connor, I know there was the to-do about Nick Saban earlier in the week, and that got stomped out pretty quick. But I was just sitting here thinking we've talked a lot about SEC Media Days this week, and very little have we talked about Alabama. And I feel like when he was the head coach, that was pretty much all we talked about. I mean, granted, Texas and Oklahoma joined the league, so there was more reason to talk. But I just wondered if it feels different the last couple of years post-Saban versus, when he was the mainstay and Alabama was the mainstay at the top of the league.
It feels different. And even last year, the weird part about the first year of the post-Saban era is that last year at SEC Media Days in Dallas, Saban was there as a part of ESPN's coverage. And so you would have Kalen DeBoer speaking and Nick Saban's still in the room. I mean, literally in the room. And he was in the room for a lot of those other SEC head coaches that were speaking, and Kirby and whatnot last year. This was the first SEC Media Days that have been held that Nick Saban hasn't been at since 2006. I mean, that's kind of crazy. And yet, of course, he still dominated the conversation. It was a very different vibe. If Alabama were coming off of a 9-4 season under Nick Saban, can you imagine the revenge tour angles that we'd be talking about here? And instead, with Kalen DeBoer, it's kind of like, well, you're going to be able to make the playoff this year. How do you feel about your quarterback battle? Is Ty Simpson going to be the guy? Tell me about Ryan Grubb. And, very, very different vibe. Very, very different. And it's the new era of Alabama football.
Connor, the SEC and a lot of discussion about at some point ESPN will pay them. They'll have a 9th conference game. I read that note. I guess it might have been from yesterday about, or maybe this morning, where Sankey said he really does want 9 games. Is that what he really wants? What do the coaches? It seems like the coaches don't want that.
The coaches want, I think, what's best for the college football playoff. This has always been about that. Sankey has admitted that. And he said the other day that this decision will not linger. And it won't linger because the deadline for deciding this college football playoff for 2026, it's December 1st. So, yeah, you're not going to be at the SEC championship still having to wonder, hey, is there going to be an 8 or a 9-game conference schedule next year? You'll have had to have figured it out by then. But this is still all about the playoff. It just is. And they want to feel like these guarantees are in place. They don't want to just go to a place where it's just 9-game conference schedule. Really what should be done, and I can't remember who it was. It might have even been Danny Cannell of all people that suggested this. I think it was why don't the other conferences just all go to 8 conference games and have built-in power conference, non-conference games? Like, well, why can't we just get to that place instead of, hey, the SEC, you absolutely have to go to the 9-game conference schedule. Can we just get some elite home and home matchups and just go from there? That would be my ideal scenario. But I don't know. I mean, the SEC has certainly dragged its feet on this for a very long time.
Connor,
that's a great idea. If they could do that.
We've talked about that on our show. Like, I don't think most of the people care if it's 8 or it's 9. We just want everybody to have the same thing. Like, if it's 8, so what? I don't think we're going to miss the 9th conference game, especially given the conferences are so big, and that might mean that Stanford doesn't play Duke. I mean, who cares?
Yeah.
Right? Like,
who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah. So there you go. Who cares about that? Especially if Stanford winds up playing USC again or something like that. Then that would be better than, a 9th game with a conference that you don't really have rivals other than because a TV network kind of is trying to create this. So yeah, I think, look, pick it 8 or 9. Just tell us what it is. Like, everybody agree. Tell us what it is.
I would love to have more of those non-conference games. Anyway, those to me sometimes they're not as good as a great rivalry within a conference. But those early non-conference games like Texas, Ohio State, and others, man, I live for that. That gets my adrenaline going quickly.
Yeah, I would rather have that than schools like what my alma mater are doing right now. I'm an Indiana grad, and we just watched Indiana cancel home and home against Virginia just because it didn't want to have another power conference game on its schedule, and it wanted to truly just have 9 power conference games. Like come on. I mean, we need to get on the same page with this. Scheduling is all over the place. I think it's as far apart as it's ever been, and I was hoping the expanded playoff was going to fix some of those issues with the way teams were scheduling non-conference, especially teams like Alabama and Georgia that really loaded up in non-conference. And it doesn't appear to be that we're getting to a place of parity, at least when it comes to scheduling.
Connor, thank you. Great to have you. What was the most fun moment or time you had in your time in Atlanta, Georgia this week?
Oh, so gentlemen, last night we do Wednesday karaoke night here at SEC Media Days every year, and we found a spot. Let's just say our crew of SEC media members, we were in a place that was out of our element when it came to karaoke. I'll say that. And I busted out Springsteen by Eric Church.
Yep.
That was my go-to. Matt McLaurin did Amarillo by Morning, which kind of broke the ice in our scenery. That we were, a very unique set of circumstances that we were in, very unique place. And that was the best memory I had. It was a whole lot of fun. I love SEC Media Days. It's my favorite week of the year.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Connor O'Gara, Saturday Down South with us on 365 Sports. Great segment with him. We appreciate the insight from Atlanta, Georgia. If you did karaoke, Garrett, no matter if you can sing, and I don't know, maybe you have some pipes. If you did a karaoke song, which would your go-to song be?
Oh, man. I'd go unorthodox and probably go Tops Drop, Fat Pat. Very unorthodox.
What did he say?
Tops Drop by Fat Pat.
Okay. All right.
It's hip-hop. It's Texas hip-hop.
Yeah.
All right.
You do you think you have bars?
Oh, I used to.
Fat Pat does.
I know. But like,
hell yeah.
But you've got to be able to keep up with it.
I can.
Okay. Good deal.
I didn't know that. All right. Craig.
You didn't know what?
That he had bars.
Well, he's just singing a song.
I know.
He created the lyrics.
I think Garrett's done that before. He hadn't told us.
I have.
Good.
Garrett, I'm proud that you, as a grown ass man with kids, are able to sing along with his song. I know that you could do. I had faith you could do karaoke.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome. I have no. I'd probably do something like "Smells Like Teen Spirit" by Nirvana, something like that.
Paul?
Oh, I probably would do something by Neil Diamond, like one of the Holly Holy.
I actually sometimes get into a groove where I listen to 10 or 12 of his songs in a row.
Oh, look. I'll tell you, or Cherry. Like, Neil Diamond is good for karaoke. Now, you might think I'm a dork, but I've done it before, and the people respond.
Mine would be Benny and the Jets.
Yeah.
It may not sound very good, but I think I could. That's the one that I would like to do, a little bit unique.
I once did Cocaine Blues by Johnny Cash, and not as many people knew that song as I thought knew that song. but it was mixed reaction.
Brandon, text me what you would sing, Craig.
Nirvana would probably strain my vocals a little bit, but that's my favorite song. Like if you say like, hey, what's your favorite song? That's my favorite song. But I can see where that would grade my vocals. I'll tell you what's a great ass karaoke song is Frank Sinatra, That's Life.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a karaoke song if you can pull it off. But that's one that pops into my head as well.
Here's the thing. You can do Sinatra. You can either try to do young Sinatra where he would like hit all those notes, or you can just do like
That's Life.
That's Life. You know, like where he would just kind of talk and drink his whiskey and be
exactly.
Yeah.
It's a great karaoke song.
Because he would like stop in the middle and be like, the great Earl Kinman wrote that song. He's a good guy. Love Earl. All right. You know, Dean told me one time, pay hookers and pennies. They really appreciate it. All right, that's life.
Suspicious Minds, the Elvis version was Kyle Visser.
Oh, wow.
In the chat room.
That's a big swing because that's the most now like that or Kentucky Rain are the two most Elvis-y Elvis songs because like we can go on together. Like it's Suspicious Mind. Yeah. It's
clip that, email it to me.
Or like, yeah. Gotcha. Or like and they go Kentucky Rain. Like he hits this Elvis note that no one else can. Like you just heard me try to do it. You know, it's hard to do. So like Suspicious Minds is a big swing, but big up to you, Kyle Visser, for attempting it.
Yeah, if I was going Elvis, I'd probably do a song like Trouble. I think that'd be a fun song to do at karaoke.
I would do such a night
from King Creole.
Here's one, Paxton, Neon Moon with Brooks and Dunn.
Yeah, that's the Take Her On Home song at the end of the night. That's the lights are going back up and you're in for a surprise, maybe, depending on how late in the night it is. But that's the go home song. Yeah.
I would do, if I was doing Elvis, I would do Such a Night. It's a shorter song. It's upbeat.
When I saw King Creole, I loved Elvis's performance of Trouble in that, and like the scene and all that. So I dig that song.
Here's a few more. Bobby B, September Morn, which is Neil Diamond.
Okay.
Of course, Sweet Caroline's the one that gets all the attention.
Yeah, that's just kind of overdone.
Get the crowd involved for sure.
Waylon Jennings and Jesse Coulter did a great cover of Suspicious Minds, that song that was brought up earlier. Stormy, Cyclone, Bad to the Bone.
Hey, there you go. Yeah.
And then I think that's it. There's a few others. I hope I didn't miss anybody. Just try to bring the chat room into it. Brandon, did you text me? What did Brandon text me? I think I saw Jackson 5 on there.
Okay. Well.
Probably the Star Spangled Banner. There you go.
Wow.
Or something.
We got a Patriot in the room today.
Or something by the Jackson 5.
Yeah.
Okay. I would not have suspected Jackson 5.
Are you going to sing all 5 parts?
No.
Okay. All right.
I'll be there or something.
How about Disturbed?
That one, I don't know.
What's the
you should know the name because it's your favorite song.
It is my favorite song. When
I'm
on my way to play golf,
how do you not know the name of the song? It's your favorite
Sound
song.
of Silence.
Yeah, it's like Simon and Garfunkel.
When I'm on my way to play golf and I want to get into a focus, especially if it's like a tournament, a match play, I will play Disturbed, Sound of Silence 3 to 4 times before I get to the course.
You don't do In the Air Tonight by Phil Collins?
No, that's a good song though.
It's not a good karaoke song.
I do
because it's got too many parts to it. Because you got to be like, hold on, like you need a backup for that one.
If it's going to be Elton John, it's going to be Tiny Dancer or Benny and the Jets. But man, the Sound of Silence.
I've seen a lot of people do Tiny Dancer, and it's either like the biggest hit, or you're like, oh, this guy's drunk.
Yeah, you got to go.
He definitely watched Almost Famous.
Yeah.
Like that kind of thing. Yeah. If I'm going Elton John, I'd probably my favorite Elton John song is probably "Goodbye Yellow Brick Road."
Yeah.
That's one I like.
You got to sing something at karaoke. Here's what I'll tell you: you got to sing something that has some heart to it, and some even if it's a slower song, it's got to have some rise to it. Many years ago in another life, at the radio station, we had a free karaoke tent at the Heart of Texas Fair, which
I bet you were hog heaven.
I was not, because it's the middle of the day, so it's not funny because nobody's like drunk and going up there. There was like a karaoke contest where the first prize was like like a $5,000, like a huge thing. So a bunch of the people who thought they were good singers just came over and rehearsed their songs. This one girl sang Before He Cheats by Carrie Underwood 1,000 times. And I was like, oh my God, I kind of hope her boyfriend cheats on her now.
Probably did. That's why she's singing it.
Yeah.
Does she sound like a cat with somebody stepped on the tail?
No, she was not bad, but it was just like, tired of hearing it. But we had like a guy that worked at the station for a little bit. And he decided to sing Pink Floyd, Have a Cigar, which is the slowest song ever. And it's not a karaoke song at all.
Now, Pink Floyd's not karaoke.
No, Pink Floyd's not karaoke. And so he did Pink Floyd, Have a Cigar, and we were all laughing so much he thought we liked it. So then he went up and sang like the entire wall.
Wish You Were Here or something?
Yeah,
The Wall. How long is that song?
Oh, it's a damn long song when somebody who doesn't know how to sing it is doing it karaoke.
From BCN, Needle and the Damage done by Neil Young.
Okay, that's a great song.
Dust in the Wind is a good one. Old Barn Cat K-State with Kansas.
There you
Will
go,
Ferrell.
Let's see here.
What movie was that?
My Way.
Old school. Yeah.
My Way with Frank Sinatra. There's a Sinatra song.
Yeah.
Devil Went Down with the Georgia from Paxton and Alan Train. AC/DC, Enter the Sandman.
Enter Sandman is Metallica.
Yeah.
But,
well, I was reading it still. Yeah.
Yeah. But Devil Went Down to Georgia is kind of a big swing too. It's up tempo. Yeah.
Let's see here. I got a Tina Turner. What's Love Got to Do with it?
Okay. I do Rolling on a River.
Def Leppard, Pour Some Sugar on Me. Carry On My Wayward Son is a great song. Yeah. And then Don't Stop Believing's even a better song to me. Journey would always be great. I just wouldn't want to sing it because I wouldn't want to ruin a great song.
Oh,
all right.
Here's another one I've done. I've done Toto by Africa.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a really good one.
In my pre-married life, where now if I went to go do karaoke, she might divorce me.
And you do mean Africa by Toto, not Toto by Africa.
Yeah, Africa by Toto. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
Thunderstruck, AC/DC. Is that right?
Yeah, you can't really go wrong with AC/DC. It's like AC/DC is like crack a beer and let's have some fun, man.
Yeah.
I mean, that's AC/DC.
All right, one more. Joe Walsh and Life Been Good by Joe Walsh.
Okay,
by retired stockbroker. All right. When we come back, we have yet another college football guest. That's what we do. Brent Ciancia. He will join us from Pick Six Previews. Ciancia, excuse me. And he will join us in the next segment. They have a great track record when it comes to picking teams that are going to win. He's next. He joins us. This is 365 Sports. Don Chimodor and Coffee Beans in the Town West Shopping Center between Richland Drive and Valley Mills in Waco. 48-foot walk-in humidor with Macanudo and Rocky Patel, Romeo and Julieta, Padron, Cohiba, and more. A wall filled with cigars that are attached to those who have served our country, military cigars, brands from those who own those particular brands. And on top of that, they have CBD products if you need at times a little nudge to help you fall asleep a little bit more without tossing and turning. I do use Vita Dreams, and it works. But you never, even when you just take, you never feel like you're sluggish. You never feel like you're doped. You never feel like something's wrong. You kind of fall asleep. It's pretty cool. And then on top of that, if you have a lot of bad, achy, like chronic pain, there's For Bad Days, which is a gummy if you want that too. Don Chimodor and Coffee Beans in the Town West Shopping Center between Richland Drive and Valley Mills in Waco.
Alan Samuels House of Travel is a full-service travel agency with highly experienced travel consultants plus support staff with over a combined 150 years in the travel business. They are ready to take care of any travel situation for you, your family, and your business, and with the kind of knowledge to complete a seamless itinerary trip start to finish. They will search for the best deal to accommodate your budget from air to cars, ship to shore, hotel, and even meeting space. Name a destination and they've been there. They know the places to go, and international and missionary travel is one of their unique specialties. Alan Samuels House of Travel, celebrating 50 years in business. Call Connie, Sherry, Linda, or Bambi at 254-776-2560 or find them on Facebook or at houseoftravelwaco.com. Baylor Scott and White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, diagnosing and treating all sports-related injuries, including concussions. These specialists also provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike, whether it's knee or shoulder pain, a wrist injury, orthopedic spine care, and even an arthritis and total joint clinic. Trust the doctors Baylor Athletics trust. Baylor Scott and White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics wants to get you back in the game.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Established in 2007 and independently owned, Alliance Bank Central Texas is committed to helping families and businesses meet their financial goals. From their tellers to their board of directors, they know the importance of superior service and competitive products. Customers have confidence knowing that their financial needs are in good hands. It's your bank, Alliance Bank Central Texas, with 2 Waco locations, 4721 Bosque Boulevard and 191 Archway Drive on Highway 84, and at alliancebanktexas.com. Member FDIC and equal housing lender.
Want to send a message to the show? Jump in the Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue chat room.
Brett Ciancia with Pick 6 previews, covering the Power 4 schools, and, by the way, rated number 1 most accurate predictions over not the last couple of 2 or 3 years, the last decade. And he joins us on 365 Sports. We've had Brett on before. Appreciate his time. Brett, thank you very much for your time. How much, man, when you have a track record like that, you don't get like full of yourself. It just puts more pressure on you, right?
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. It's kind of like when Nick Saban wins a national title and the next morning he's out there recruiting. It's like I got to stay on my toes. I got to find every piece of data and information I can because it's really an exhaustive process. With the transfer portal and all that, all the player movement. So it's a crazy process. It goes from January till just now in July. We're finally shipping out hard copies. Just got a truckload in today. We'll get another truck tomorrow. So really busy time, but excited to break it down with you.
And then, I don't know, did you hear the Scotty Scheffler interview from earlier this week about him winning and what winning, you want to win. He wants to be the best, but that how it only lasts for so long and you're already thinking about the next tournament?
Yeah, it's pretty spot on. But for me, how I would compare it is like everybody does a March Madness bracket and all those games you're watching, they matter for your bracket. Imagine that with this, but like every single conference game factors into the accuracy standings for the preview magazine. So, week 0, here we go. We're kicking it off. I need certain, so-and-so team to beat the other team. And it's just fun to follow along all season. But yeah, it's all 68 Power 5 teams. And, I think all these conferences are wide open more than ever. So there's a lot to break down.
So, Brett, for people who don't know, and you've had this success, last year, what was your batting average?
Yeah, last year I finished 4th out of the 20 publications. So, 4th is okay, but it was strong enough to defend the 5-year title and the 10-year title. So, number 1 in both those intervals, and that's against all the ones you see on newsstands, all the ones online. That's kind of the claim to fame. That's what helped build Pick 6 previews up is the prediction accuracy. But more than that, though, it's like a balance between my advanced numbers and stats, but putting it into readable formats. I want to, too many acronyms, too many formulas can be kind of cumbersome. So put it back into readable terms. And I feel like I've done that again here with the breakdown for each team.
You had, I guess it was yesterday, the Pick 6 previews on Twitter, the 2025 playoff prediction. I don't see anybody on there that would be a surprise. It's pretty much, isn't that like status quo to almost like last year?
A couple of surprises might be in there. I think LSU might be one that most people don't have on the radar. Miami also has a little bit of long odds to make it. They're my second ACC team this year. I have them getting in as an at-large. But, it's true. There's a lot of chalk at the top. I mean, I think pretty much everybody's going to have Texas and Alabama and Georgia and Ohio State and Penn State and Oregon. Clemson, everybody has winning the ACC, and then Notre Dame gets a spot. So, pretty quickly you filled up more than half the bracket right there. Yeah, go ahead.
You mentioned Arizona State. Obviously, they were a great story and, hell, a play away from being in the semifinals with Sam Levitt and company and Cam Scattaboo. And a lot of people, whether it's Iowa State or Kansas State or Arizona State, maybe Tech because of the offseason or who it might be, Utah's starting to get a lot of love. With Arizona State, Scattaboo's gone, but talking to Kenny Dillingham last week at Big 12 Media Days, they have a lot coming back, don't they?
Yeah, exactly. And I think in 14 years of doing Pick Six previews, I think this is the most wide open conference that I can remember trying to forecast. And goes to show you how wide open is, like you said, at the media day, the coaches did a poll and they picked Iowa State versus Kansas State. Neither of those two are even in my top 5 in the conference. I have them 6 and 7. That's how wide open this is. Yeah, I picked Arizona State to win it based off their performance last year and the fact they bring back 19 starters. So if you love returning starters and returning production, this is your team. First round type quarterback with Sam Levitt too. That certainly helps. But from there, I look at the Texas schools. I think they have better shots to make it. Texas Tech, you talked about their offseason, the way they crushed the portal. They brought in 13 4-stars, more than the rest of the conference combined. And then Baylor. I love what Baylor brings back. They're a very veteran team that really caught fire after the halfway point once they figured their quarterback spot out. So those two, TCU also, there's so many good teams over here in the Big 12. So I can't wait to watch it.
Who do you think is the team that is going to or has the best shot to do the Big 12 annual tradition and come right out of nowhere?
Yeah, maybe TCU. I'm going to pick TCU for this question because nobody else has them on their radar. I've got them in my top 25, all the way up there at 24, 4th in the conference. So I think they're going to surprise a lot of people. Josh Hoover, their quarterback, he might be the most underrated quarterback in the country. No one's talking about him. Last year, it was quality and quantity. He was 300 yards per game passing and a top 20 QB rating. Very few in the country can say that they were top 20 in both of those. So I like the quarterback, love the receivers. The secondary looks better and strong. Bud Clark is back there. So they're kind of my sleeper team. I like their over-under win total. I like them to be a preseason top 25 team and surprise some folks and maybe be a tie-break scenario away from Dallas.
Somebody asked about how long does it take for an incoming freshman to affect a win-loss record prediction on your end?
Wow. Well, there are a few 5-stars each class that can have that kind of impact. Usually you're looking at a team that has an opening and you're looking, all right, who's going to backfill, who's going to start? And sometimes it is that 5-star freshman coming in. You saw what Jeremiah Smith did last year for Ohio State. Ohio State again has another one this year coming in. Keep an eye on Devin Sanchez, their cornerback. He might start as a true freshman, and he's getting Jeremiah Smith type hype from the spring ball. So, you look there. You look at Florida last year with DJ Lagway at quarterback. So there's a handful, 5 or 10 examples you could think of that could affect that much. But for the most part, it's those second-year guys. You see a second-year starter. Transfers are even more important because they've already been at the college level and more of a proven commodity. But it all factors in. And I think that's what helps with my magazine is I do go position by position because sometimes you read, okay, this team signed 3 transfer receivers. Here are their names. That doesn't tell you anything. You want to see where were they before? What they do there? Were they a 5-star out of high school? Were they an all-conference from the Sun Belt? Like, you got to have context. So that's where I really dig into each position.
All right, so I ask every analyst I can this, and my co-hosts roll my eyes, but my beloved Florida State Seminoles were 2-10 last year. Brett, you have crunched all the numbers. What am I in for this year?
Well, it's really a mystery out of all the teams. I mean, the pendulum is swinging back and forth. I mean, they go 13-0 because they dominated that 2023 transfer cycle, and then they whiffed on a lot of the transfers last time around. They go 2-10. But here's my thing with it. I think they were a lot better, a lot more talented than 2-10. That roster, it's a lot of blue chippers. I think a lot of that was mental. I think a lot of that was locker room. When you come off a 13-0 playoff snub and you're thinking about it all off season, and then you go out and you drop your first 2 games, I think a lot of that mental got in the way. So look for a bounce back to bowl season at the very least. I have them third, tied for third in the ACC. I think they'll be a fringe top 25 team. So I'm looking at something like 7-5, 8-4, but they certainly have talent in there. It's a matter of getting them coached up, and I love the coordinator hires. That's a big part of it too this year.
By the at-large teams that Brett has in the playoff. Penn State, Texas, Clemson, Arizona State, Ohio State, the conference champions, the automatic qualifiers. LSU, Oregon, Arizona State, and Notre Dame, Miami at Georgia, and Boise at Alabama. Those are the ones that Arizona State, despite winning the conference, would not be. Wait a minute, would they? Yeah.
So
that's right.
They switched. They switched it up this year.
That's
actually,
right.
With the, so you're going to see a little bit more of a reseeding. Last year it was the 4 best conference winners got the buys. This time it's if you win your conference, you're an automatic bid, but they don't get an automatic buy. So
that's right.
I think in Arizona State, I think whoever comes out of that Big 12 is going to be hit with a couple losses, probably a 10-2 winner, maybe even a 9-3 winner, because it's so competitive at the top. So I think the winner of the Big 12 will have to do an at-large first-round game. But yeah, how about that one? A Miami versus Georgia, a little Carson Beck Bowl. Carson Beck leading Miami, of course, this year, but have to head into Athens, but between the hedges there against his old team. Would love to see that. But yeah, a lot of interesting pairings you could come up with.
That would be awesome. That would be awesome. No question about it. What are your thoughts about Ohio State and Texas right off the top? Team can lose. They could even lose, probably even if it was a little bit one-sided and not affect them in the end because of who else they play. What are your thoughts about Ohio State the year after they win it all?
Yeah, well, first the matchup. If they're playing it in August, I like Texas. If they're playing it in December, I like Ohio State. And the way I say that is Ohio State is so young and so fresh. They have something like 20 new starters this year. So I think you can catch them early where they're still developing. But by the time this national playoff comes around in December and January, look out for Ohio State. They're going to be 15 or 14 games in. And there's a lot of 5-star talent. But in the opener, I'll go Texas. And how I feel about Ohio State, I kind of just hit on it. I think it's a transitional year. I think that they're going to start gearing up towards the back half of this year and round into the playoff again as a strong team. Huge praise from their quarterback, Julian Sion, a 5-star guy. We know about Jeremiah Smith, and we know they have the best defender with Caleb Downs. But when you go through and break it down position by position, it's 5 stars everywhere. It's top 100s everywhere. And what that means is future NFLers. So I like this team a lot. I think they're going to grow. Same with Oregon, for that matter. I think a young team like Oregon, they'll grow as the season goes on. In the old system, you go 10-2, you're out of there. You're playing in the Citrus Bowl. But 10-2 now in the Big Ten, you're in that bracket. And then these younger teams, are going to round into form in January. So it's a whole new ballgame now.
I got to say this. Texas is unafraid of scheduling other blue bloods, alpha dogs, monsters in non-conference. They will do that. Last year, Michigan, this year, Ohio State. Did they know that they would play Michigan the year after Harbaugh would leave, and they would also be the year after they won a national title? And now Ohio State this year is going to be good, as you said, but they're going to get the Buckeyes, and they're both games on the road, and they might be favored.
Yeah, how about that timing? It's funny. They book these things like 10, 12 years in advance, and just to hit it like that. But you know what? I respect what Texas does there with scheduling, and same with Kalen DeBoer today at SEC Media Day was saying, hey, we'll take on all challengers. We want our players and our student athletes in these big environments. We want our fans to experience these primetime games. What a nice, refreshing notion compared to what you hear out of Indiana or Nebraska, the way they canceled another series with Tennessee. Indiana, just this week, announced that their next 30 non-conference games, 0 Power 5 opponents. So I like it. I like to bring on all challengers, and for especially programs like Texas and Alabama, they're not afraid, and I think that's good for the sport.
And their fans demand it.
Do you think?
Yeah.
Do you think that the hiring of Matt Patricia will negatively impact Ohio State?
Well, it's certainly a mystery. He's a mad scientist. They call him. They call him a defensive genius. So a lot of buzzwords around this guy. I mean, he was great in New England in the NFL. But at this point, I think Ryan Day, he earns a little bit of trust. He's hit on most of his coordinators. Of course, he missed with Kerry Combs, the defensive coordinator before. Just hit big time with Jim Knowles and hit big time with Chip Kelly. So I think we trust him here. I think you got to. And you know what? He's walking into a good situation with all these blue chippers. It's really a who's who of National Signing Day at Ohio State. So he has a lot of talent to work with. And they've been coached well the last couple of years, so he's inheriting a good spot. So I think it'll go just fine, but it is a little bit of a mystery given his lack of college experience.
Brett Ciancia with us, Pick Six Previews, and we've gone over the history of the last decade, and in what they've been able to do. So let's go back to the Big 12 for a second. You have Arizona State winning it again. Would not be surprised if they did. It's also a conference that seems like it's always up for grabs. What needs to happen, or who most likely, if they were to get a second team in the playoff, who would it be?
Ooh, a great question here. I'm going to go with Baylor. Especially it comes down to this for Baylor. How do they do in their non-conference? Because they draw Auburn, who's kind of a peer. They're both top 20 caliber, in my opinion, top 25 teams. And then also SMU, another top 25 fringe team. So if they go 2-0 against that tandem right there, then they set themselves up pretty well for an at-large. Because I think within Big 12 play, I think you have this big bunch of teams at the top. You're probably going to win it with a 7-2 league record. That's my guess. So Baylor, for example, if they sweep their non-con, goes 7-2, then you're talking about 10-2 at-large kind of bid. So it's possible. I think the Big 12 can get a second team.
Yeah, and in a case like that, they would not be not overshadowed or shunned because they played, like you said, the non-conference game, which is why you play those games with Auburn, no matter what they end up, and also with SMU, because last year they were good and this year they're going to be good again. Very good point.
Yeah. SMU is going to stack a lot of wins in that ACC, and that's where I compare the two conferences. The Big 12 is so deep, but the ACC, once you get out of a couple teams, it really drops off. I mean, the bottom of the ACC might be the weakest in power football. So I think SMU is going to clean up and probably get 8 wins again. And if you're a Baylor fan or Baylor, you want them to win out after you play them. So we'll see. Those 2 wins could really appreciate in value.
From the chat room, a Tennessee fan. What are your expectations? They had the drama with Nico and Aguilar now as the quarterback. What are your thoughts about the Vols with the changeover?
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, coming into this research process, my 2 biggest questions were the offensive line, losing 4 starters, and then how are they going to unlock more vertical passing? You saw that start to go away the last couple of years since their big 2022. Little did we know we'd have probably the biggest drama in college football with the Nico situation. But I see question marks a lot on this offense. I mean, you lose the SEC Player of the Year running back. All the receivers are gone. All the lines gone. And I don't know how Aguilar is going to transition. Honestly, he threw a lot of touchdowns. He threw a lot of picks at the Sun Belt level. So questions all over the place. Love their defense. And that's going to be strong enough to keep them in the top 25 alone. But I see more of an 8-4 type season for them. I don't see a return to the playoffs.
Do you see someone who has the talent, like a USC? They've been hit and miss. Do you see someone like that has been a blue blood that might be ready to make a return, at least be in the mix when they get to, I guess, mid to late November?
Yeah, well, right there with USC, I like them to finish 4th in the Big Ten. And if you're talking playoff spots, 3rd or 4th in the Big Ten is right there in the mix. So I think you're going to see USC in the conversations there within the top 15. A team, a real wild card I'm interested in is Florida. And I like what they're bringing back. It's funny how much can change in a few months. They almost fired Billy Napier. They were, it was a crazy meltdown situation. Then they make a public statement, reaffirming him. He goes and wins 4 straight. The recruiting comes in. They get everybody back from the pros. They had 4 linemen that could have gone pro, and they got them all back in Gainesville. So I really like Florida. The catch is their schedule is one of the hardest in the country.
Sure,
and
yeah.
It's crazy how these unbalanced these conference schedules are. But if you're looking just talent-wise, I really like Florida. Very talented team. Let's see how they do against the Gauntlet. But keep an eye on them. They're bouncing back.
So you begin looking at everything when the season's over. The playoff, of course, could end sometime, in mid-January, and you spend 6 or 7 months doing all of this. Do you, when it's put to sleep, like the magazine, and you put it and send it off to the editor, publisher, whatever it is, what do you do for 2 or 3 days?
Well, the funny thing is, I'm the editor, I'm the publisher. It's a one-man show. I have to do it all. So,
oh my Lord,
yeah, writing it all, and then I get my next chair over and I edit the whole thing, and then there is a little bit of a pause. You're right. It's just 2 days where it's at the print press, and that was just a couple days ago, earlier this week. A little bit to catch my breath, but here they are. The books are arriving. We're packing them up, shipping them. So it's chaos over here, but I'm glad. That means that people are liking the product and they're grabbing it. So we still have hard copies, a ton of them. Go get them at pick6previews.com. Not available in stores. You won't find this in Barnes & Noble. It's only on the website there, Pick6 Previews. But it's a long research project. I love it. It's my 14th year, And I think it's the most complete one yet. I think you're going to love it there. We have some sample pages up there on the website, too, if you're interested.
You know what I like about what, Brett, you do? You're doing this on a cell phone. You're not sitting in front of some computer rattling stuff off. This is in your head. This is like part of your DNA. So why did you get into this business? Is it because you're a college football fan, journalistic background? Tell me about how you got involved in this.
No, I have zero journalistic background at all. I'd say it's out of a pure passion for college football. I grew up here in Pennsylvania. It's all pro sports. I could never find any college sports coverage. I'd watch every Saturday, but I couldn't find enough coverage. So I figured, you know what, I'll make my own. And, I'm a numbers guy too. So I designed my formulas, my analytics, and noticed they're pretty good at predicting conference winners and game winners. So started to publish the book. And like we said, the prediction accuracy has been there, but more so, I think the writing style people tend to like. It's more of a narrative. You get to learn about each position group, coaching schemes, team history, less acronyms, less formulas. It's not hieroglyphics. It's good writing, in my opinion. But yeah, so it's out of a pure passion of college football. And like I said, a one-man show, and really excited here to be in the 14th season of it.
Well, congratulations on what you're doing, what you've done. Also, good luck with the sales of it. Pick Six Previews, Brett Ciancio with us. And Brett, we'll have you back on again. Stay tuned. Thanks for your time.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime. Thanks, guys.
From Pick Six Previews. Man, I don't know if I could pay attention long enough. I have certain projects I do for like a high school football website or whatever, but that's a lot. It seems like he has a lot on his plate. Good luck with what they do and also the success rate that they've had too. By the way, wanted to say this, S. Michael DeHart, our great friend, has a huge surgery coming up. And he popped into the chat room earlier today. He's got a lot of things he's got to do between now and his surgery. S. Michael, we love you, man. Appreciate you. Good luck. Wanted to throw that out there. Garrett, one thing when we come back, I guess after Craig's off the radar in the 5 o'clock hour, the coffee mugs. We'll get to that, okay? This is 365 Sports. Marco's Pizza. Pizza lovers get it. Bob Mock. Saw him earlier this week. He has been in the pizza business for a long, long time. Marco's Pizza. He owns 5 of those locations, 5 of those restaurants in the Waco area. Belle Meade, Shadow Spring, Hewitt, Woodway, and also in Robinson. My favorite pizza. And every once in a while, I kind of dabble in making my own, get the dough like they have it at a pizza place. And I have that stone where you cook the pizza and get it nice and crusty if you want. And I like doing all that. I did that when I was younger. That's the first job I ever really got a true paycheck, other than hauling off concrete from new built houses that was miserable because it was hot and I wasn't very strong. But pizza's always been kind of in my blood. It's definitely in the blood of Bob Mock. Marco's Pizza, the fastest growing pizza brand in America. Marco's Pizza. Pizza lovers get it.
In our logo and advertising, we say we are people that you can count on. What does that mean? It starts with providing a quality vehicle and quality service at a fair price. But it also means we do what we say we will do, and we treat people fairly with respect. It starts by hiring great people, good local folks who work hard with a caring attitude. Our employees are the real reason we are people that you can count on. Put us to the test and see for yourself that at Richard Carr Motors, we are people you can count on.
Parenting is full of surprises.
You never know what to expect.
So after our son was born, I called my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent to set up a life insurance policy in case something happened to me.
Sawyer is now 2.
And we'll soon have a sister. There's no one else I would trust with protecting my family.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Developed by Startup Waco, a nonprofit organization, GXG is a program designed to support the entrepreneurial development of Baylor University student athletes through NIL activations. The program helps student athletes maximize their platforms and offers a comprehensive support system for them to create and grow new businesses that not only benefit themselves, but also uplift the local economy. Fans who wish to support student athletes can donate to GXG via the GXG NIL Fund, BaylorBears.com/GXG. Contributions to support NIL activations through GXG can be made at BaylorBears.com/GXG. For more information, follow @GXG_GreenXGold on social media and visit the official website www.gxg.startupwaco.com. GXG, empowering student-athlete entrepreneurship and uplifting the local economy through NIL activations.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine now has 2 locations to serve you. The original on Lakeshore Drive in North 19th Street and the brand new spot in downtown Waco at 600 Franklin Avenue. If you're looking for the best in craft beers or local Texas bourbons, then the original is the place to be. And for the latest trends and online phenomenons, head downtown to the Franklin location. Either way, you're going to get the same great variety, customer service, and speedy experience. Check out both locations on their Facebook and Instagram pages. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street, and now downtown on Franklin Avenue.
This is Craig Smoak's Off the Radar, presented by Alliance Bank. They take pride in making banking easy. AllianceBankTexas.com.
Welcome into Off the Radar here on 365 Sports, a segment a couple times a week, taking a look at just a grab bag of stories around the sports world, and got a lot on tap for today. We'll see how much of it we actually get to, but I wanted to, before going forward, go back just a little bit and talk about the MLB All-Star Game. Not so much the ratings for it, which were apparently down a little bit, but they still had over 7 million people, so it was far and away still the most popular All-Star Game. It remains that, and that didn't change, although some things did change, like the wearing of uniforms. I don't know how much you guys paid attention to that, but they brought back everybody wearing their own uniforms. So if you're a Padre, you're in a Padres jersey instead of National League, the vague whatever colors they decide based on what city they're in. I thought it made a world of difference. It just looks so much better when you have a Yankee sitting next to a Ranger, and in the outfield behind them is a Tiger, and you can just tell the guys are from different teams, as opposed to it all being just this melted together team for one night. So 7+ million, a decline, but still the most popular All-Star Game, and the return of the uniforms. But the most conversation surrounding that game had to do with the home run derby tiebreaker, and or the game tiebreaker, I should say, where they held an I don't know if you call it a home run derby, but a home run competition, a swing-off home run competition to decide the winner of the game. And, I was wondering at first initially, because I hadn't paid super close attention beforehand. I just didn't think we'd be getting to the point of where there was a tie, or I don't know, just never paid close attention to it. But I was wondering, how are they going to do this if it's you getting 10 pitches or whatever? But the way they did is you get your cuts and you get nothing more. You can't just stand up there all night and you get your cuts and you can hit, a maximum of 3 home runs?
Yep.
Or you hit 0, or you hit 1, or you hit 2, but that's it. You can hit 3 at most. Some guys did. Some guys hit 1 or 2. But what did y'all think about that and the way that they decided to do that?
I hope they don't do that in the regular season, because they get a wild hair. But for the All-Star Game, you don't need to be playing extra innings and burning pitchers.
Right.
That's just silly. And I liked that for an ending to the All-Star Game. It beats Ghost Runner, at least in that scenario, because it is the All-Star Game. Want to have a little bit of fun with it. Kyle Schwarber's always really fun to watch anyway. I love Schwarbs. I really wish he was still in the Red Sox. Golly, I love Schwarbs. But
he went up there and he just crushed.
Yeah, he had one of the ones where those Adrian Beltre home runs where you fall down on a knee, you swung it so hard, which is awesome. So yeah, I liked it. I thought it was good. It was kind of a bummer for the American League. So when they had to pick their guys, Aaron Boone was kind of left with 2 power hitters, and then Jonathan Aranda from the Rays, who is an excellent contact hitter, but he's got 8 home runs. He's a first baseman, but that was his best shot at a power hitter, and that was kind of bummer. And so everybody's like, well, why didn't he pick somebody else who would have been better at that? Well, they are professional athletes, and not thinking it's going to go to that point, like if you get pulled in the second inning, a lot of times they get dressed and go to the airport.
Absolutely.
And they just left. So they weren't even at the stadium anymore. They were on a plane back home. And so that was a bit of a problem. I think they should make them stay, but tradition is tradition.
I want to know this, though. Now during even regular season games, if the game goes past the 10th inning, they start putting a guy on second base. I mean, I don't like that during the regular season. I like this for the All-Star game because you don't want this to go. Wasn't there an All-Star game that went like 17 innings? Isn't that what created this at some point? Mm-hmm. But I love the uniform situation.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about the runner on second thing. That's a completely different deal.
Well, what is that rule? During the regular season.
I mean, it's the extra innings ghost runner rule. Yeah, I mean,
put him on second.
Yeah, I mean, that's a totally different thing from the home run swing off. But I mean, they're obviously trying some new things in baseball, and this was one of those. And so, like I said, a little over 7 million viewers. It's lowest rated on record, but it's still the best All-Star game, as I mentioned. So I don't care so long as the sport's healthy what the ratings really are. But did have that number coming in, and a lot of talk afterwards. And I guess just the incessant need to pick apart everything of like, well, why didn't they force the guys to stay? It's like, because they weren't thinking this was going to be a big deal. And like, well, we better make sure Aaron Judge's plane leaves later so that if we have to go to extra innings, it's the All-Star game. It's not to be taken super seriously. But I think that they found a fun way to put a capper on it as opposed to going like they did years ago to whatever amount that number of innings was. That was just ridiculous when they couldn't find a way to end the game. So I thought it was cool for that. But yeah, you're not gonna do that in the regular season by any stretch of the imagination. Although I'm sure there's probably some people who kind of dug that. So there you go, MLB All-Star Game. I was just curious what you guys thought about the way they ended that. Meanwhile, if you are a college football pregame show fan, you got some interesting news the last couple of days. It's now official today, and that is that Fox and their Big Noon Kickoff has made a big move as far as the personalities that will be on their show. We know that College Game Day is going to be bidding adieu to Lee Corso here. They brought on Pat McAfee. He injected some of that youth into their programming, and that capturing of the young audience is what I guess everybody's after. I realize I see that more often. I realize I've aged out of that group they're going after now at this point. So I'm not the target audience anymore. So when I see things, I just have to realize that. But Pat McAfee at ESPN last year was a big deal. And so Fox, with their Big Noon Kickoff, after rumors yesterday were flying left and right, have officially made it known that they are going to be working in partnership with Barstool Sports. And in particular, when it comes to Big Noon Kickoff, they will have, I guess, what was previously Barstool's pregame show that they did on like YouTube and whatever is now going to air like at first in the morning, and then on their digital platforms. Mm-hmm. So you can still watch that. That's not going to go anywhere. And Fox will, I guess, host it and everything else. But then it will be followed by your Big Noon Kickoff regular panel that features, among others, Urban Meyer. But now it's also going to feature Stool Presidente, Barstool Sports founder and owner Dave Portnoy is officially going to be on Big Noon Kickoff. There was talk about it. He denied it yesterday, but I guess it was just to keep it under wraps for a few hours more, but went on X earlier today and confirmed the news that he will be joining Urban Meyer and Matt Leinart and Mark Ingram and Brady Quinn and Rob Stone, who's the host, as well as Chris Fallica, a.k.a. the Bear, who used to be on Game Day. That is the team he will be joining. And it's an interesting move by Fox Sports, who clearly is trying to go younger and trying to get as much audience as they can for their pregame show. And so you get Pat McAfee, we're going to go get Dave Portnoy and the rest of the Barstool gang. And there's still details coming out as far as who's going to be involved and to what extent. And, I see a lot of people when it comes to Big Cat or PFT commenter, they're more popular personalities. Like, how involved will those folks be? I think that's all still being ironed out. But yeah, there's some pretty strong opinions on this move. There's a lot of the college football crowd that's probably skews older that says, well, I didn't watch anyways, I'm not watching now, or I did watch, but now I'm not watching. And then I'd imagine there's probably a lot of younger people that are like, well, I never watched before, but now I'm watching, and that's what they're after. So, yeah, Dave Portnoy and Barstool will be a part of Big Noon Kickoff and also Fox Sports in various ways as part of a partnership moving forward for the next 3 years, I believe is what they said the length of the deal was.
Eyeballs. Yeah. There may be some turned off by it like there is with McAfee, but they are looking for those two guys and what they bring to the table with how many they have as followers. Bottom line.
Yeah, the only thing I'm really interested in by it is Michigan homer.
It's going to be so terrible, dude.
Extraordinaire.
That's where I am. Like that's going to be awful.
Versus Urban Meyer, who I can't believe that he likes. Like, I mean, or wants to like sit next to him and not.
Well, maybe nobody
him.
wants to sit next to Urban Meyer.
Yeah, I know that. No, that's what I'm saying. Like, my point is like. He's going to be there.
Yeah.
If I were Urban Meyer, I'd be a little bit like nervous about some of the things that Portnoy is going to try to pull on me, which, I'll watch those clips when they come on, but as long as Urban's on that show, I'm not going to watch it. So, but I do think that it's interesting. And look, I'm one of these guys that like, I like some of the things that they do. I don't like some of the things that they do. I think they could be smarter or deeper at their college football than kind of just on the surface like they are. But look, to each their own.
Yeah, I mean, it's like somebody said yesterday, Fox Sports has no original ideas. And I think this is just an example of exactly that, of like, oh, McAfee's over there. Well, let's go get the closest thing to it and get Dave Portnoy, who hired McAfee to his original media job at Barstool and started his career in media. But yeah, that's going to be the big new addition. So I think everybody who knows and has seen much of Portnoy knows what a Michigan homer he is and how that's going to be a really interesting dynamic between he and Urban in particular, because he's going to take jabs, and it's just a matter of how play along is Urban when it comes down to it. Is it like Saban and McAfee originally? Or, do they kind of warm up to each other? I think people will tune in probably early on to see that. But if he goes like overboard Twitter guy, blowhard Michigan guy, that's going to turn a lot of people
He's going to want to rate pizzas.
Yeah.
I mean, if he does that, that's why most people like him, is stuff like that. That'd be fine. I think if you did like the best there's a segment idea. You do the best pizza in every town you're in. He's probably already done in most places. Then yeah, that'd be super popular. But if he's in there and he's just talking crap to Urban and it's just Michigan, Ohio State all the time, you'll have those two massive fan bases, but I think a lot of people will check out. So there's a fine line to ride there, but it will bring interest and people will be talking about it.
Urban Meyer. Now think about these schools that are represented on these two shows. Urban Meyer, Ohio State and Florida. Mark Ingram, Alabama. Leinart, USC. Portnoy, Michigan. Herbie, Ohio State. Desmond Howard, Michigan. Brady Quinn, Notre Dame. And then McAfee, West Virginia.
Yeah.
It needs somebody who went to, like, for example, Southern Illinois to be one of these game day people. But I
would like that.
I just think there's too many people on the set for both shows. In some cases,
that's what I think. First and foremost, is like it doesn't need to get more crowded. But I am not a religious watcher of those shows to begin with. I watched College Game Day when I was growing up, but with our schedule. And maybe that changes this year because our schedule is going to be much different on a Saturday. But I didn't really feel like I had the time because I slept as far as I could coming off of a high school game the night before, and then depending on when our pregame show was. So I normally slept through it or got up and it was halfway through and I didn't pay much attention to it. I know a lot of people are put off by this and say they won't watch it, but we'll see what happens. Fox Sports and Barstool, though, inking a deal. And college football-wise, it will have an impact on Big Noon Kickoff. So.
Yeah, they used to just have three guys. It was just, whoever the host was, whether it was Brando or Fowler. And this is not for Reese Davis. When Reese Davis came in, they'd already expanded the cast. Lee Corso, Craig James, or Bino, and that there was three guys, and then it was Fowler, Herb Street, and Corso for the longest time.
Which was fine.
It was just fine.
Yep.
But now all these pregame shows, cable news loves to just stuff a room.
Well, if it's going to be like
that,
then here pretty soon there's going to be 12 people on the panel.
If you go back and watch the Chuck Todd interview, I asked him about, was it better being on network television than on election night than that? And he's like, oh, those things. He's like, they could never get me into one of them. He's like, I would do like a hit where it was just me going on to MSNBC and talking about it. But I don't understand how he goes, I don't know how you can make it work with people sitting on risers. Like, you don't need 20 people. There's 3 of us in the room. We cover it. Like, we got it. It's fine. Like,
Yep.
we got it. And that the same can be said for sports news. Like, 3 people, 4 at most is fine.
Yeah, I don't know who would recommend that. Who told Fox or CNN or ABC of like, hey, you need to have more people? Like, who would have recommended?
They almost have like bleachers. But
like, who's the consulting firm? Consulting firm is.
Yeah.
I don't know when they started telling everybody you need more and more people on these shows, but yeah, if college football pregames go the way of those, then they're only halfway to what the panel's going to look like in about 5 years. But that's definitely created some talk today and some interest, and so we'll see what that looks like. But I think if he goes heavy on the Michigan shtick, that's going to just be unwatchable for most people. But we'll see.
Yeah, he's probably going to throw some barbs in there like Shane Gillis did when he was on one of those playoff games.
That's fine, but it's just I've also seen where it goes overboard to where you're not even dealing in reality. You're just talking, and I just don't know.
He's a pretty successful guy. I think he's smart enough to know he could be out of there pretty quickly if he tries to welcome his staff.
Yeah, and this is more than just the pregame. There's going to be other Fox Sports, involvement with Barstool and vice versa. And they just recently cut a bunch of people, so this is part of filling that gap is bringing in Barstool. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if you see Pardon My Take as a regular show on there. Or I think they did say in the announcement they're going to have a morning show with Barstool personalities. So that's going to be, interesting to see how that partnership works out. And we know Barstool signed with ESPN, and it lasted all of a night, basically, with that Van Talk show. That did not go well, so we'll see how much differently this goes.
ESPN wasn't desperate. Fox Sports is desperate right now. All their stuff is just not worked out.
Yeah.
And it's because...
And it's the opposite in the NFL.
Yeah, they're not... Yeah, exactly.
Their NFL pregame show, studio show, to me is much better than the ones that are like on CBS or whatever else.
All right, speaking of the NFL, let's close out some of the headlines here, and there's quite a few of them, but T.J. Watt, now the highest paid non-quarterback in the entire NFL. He has agreed to a 3-year, $123 million extension with the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's, again, the highest non-quarterback contract ever agreed to in NFL history. That was from Adam Schefter, $108 million fully guaranteed at signing, $41 million average per year, which just edges out Myles Garrett's contract that was for however many months, the highest paid non-quarterback contract. So TJ Watt, 73.5 sacks the past 5 seasons, more than anybody else. He wasn't at mandatory minicamp last month as they were talking through this, but safe to say he'll be at training camp because, the deal is done, and what a deal it is.
Yeah, so now how much does the Cowboys get hit with Micah Parsons?
Well, that is the big question everybody now has is, then Micah Parsons will have to make, $43 million to be the next newest guy, and that's, I think, where immediately everybody's mind went. So you guys can ask Mickey about that here in a little while.
Yeah, look, it's a great day for Micah Parsons. I think the hay was out of the barn on them saving any money when they didn't do it like a year or two ago. So whatever happens now, it doesn't matter. But the criticism will be you could have done this 2 years ago and saved the money, or at least braced yourself for giving him a new extension that wouldn't be so massive a jump in your salary cap. But yeah, we'll ask Mickey about it.
We'll ask Mickey this. When was the last time they had somebody in the position they have with Dak or CD, Micah Parsons, and they actually signed him early?
Oh, it never happens.
Okay. Craig?
Meanwhile, Von Miller is joining the Washington Commanders on a 1-year deal. 36-year-old's been with Buffalo the past 3 seasons, had 14 sacks with the Bills over that time period, and he is on the tail end of his career, but Washington hoping to squeeze whatever juice they can out of him to improve their defense. And so, a big-time superstar over the last few years in the NFL, but certainly somebody on the downward slope is going to be getting another crack there with the Commanders. And That's the latest deal pulled by Adam Peters and company as they try to improve Washington's playoff run from a year ago. So too old to matter. Just one of those like, hey, this reminds me of so-and-so when they signed the 1 year, like Emmett to the Cardinals type of scenario here. Is there actually something they can get out of him?
He's obviously a shell of himself. He's also had some things off the field that you want to make sure he doesn't bring into the locker room. He's won a Super Bowl. Good. Maybe they just wanted one more veteran presence like they have with the linebacker, Wagner. Wagner can still play, but maybe they just felt like that's something they needed. And a 1 year deal.
He's a hired gun at his point in his career. If he gives them,
he may not even get to the regular season.
If he gives them 12 games this year and 8 to 12 sacks,
that many?
Yeah, I mean, because like he's going to be a situational pass rusher, so it's not like he's going to have a lot. But if he has, say he has just 10, let's say he just gets 10 sacks this year between regular season and playoffs and key moments, then it's worth it. That's all he is. They lost Dante Fowler to the Cowboys, back to the Cowboys. That's the role he essentially fills.
Yeah, Fowler was good for them too.
That was Dante Fowler. Like, dude, they just reinvigorated your career. Now you're going right back to Dallas. Like, I guess it was a money thing.
Dan Quinn, and then I guess it's probably a money thing. But Dan Quinn's the dude that reinvigorated his career.
That's what I'm saying.
Exactly.
So you were with Dallas. You go to Washington. You're like the best player on the defense for part of the year, and then you have this great year, and then you go back to Dallas.
Yeah, by the way,
I just don't get that.
Miller had 6 sacks last year. If he gets 6 this year, I think that's plenty.
Yeah. So just real quick, a couple of other things because it has been a busy day in the NFL. Chiefs wide receiver Rashee Rice will spend 30 days in jail and also get 5 years probation for his role in a multi-car crash last year in Dallas. He pled guilty in district court to 2 third-degree felony charges, including collision involving serious bodily injury and racing on a highway causing bodily injury. And so the Dallas District Court judge said he can serve jail at any point during the 5-year probationary period, and so on and so forth. Got deferred adjudication, so his case will get dismissed if he completes probation. He also had to pay 6 figures in restitution to the victims for medical expenses, according to the DA's office. And so now the NFL will turn their sights towards actually handing him their league punishment as well, but most assume it will be multiple games. So the NFL VP of Communications said they've been closely monitoring all developments, and it remains under review. So Rice said in a statement that he's profoundly sorry for the damages to both people and property that he caused, and had a long spiel about it. But he was going 119 in a Lambo in a crowded Dallas highway, and it did not turn out worse, which is the lucky part there. So, yeah, there's the end of Rashee Rice's legal battles for at least right now. And he will go back to being a star for the Chiefs, I'm sure, as soon as that suspension's up.
Help me with my brain lock. Did he get suspended at all last year?
No, because it was pending.
Okay.
They didn't know what they were
So far, he's basically gotten away with an unbelievable amount.
He'll be suspended, I'm sure, in the next month.
3 to 4 games, 4 games, 6 games?
I think 6. Okay. I think 6.
And final couple things here. I did want to make mention for our UCF fans out there. RJ Harvey has agreed on a 4-year, $7.36 million rookie deal with the Denver Broncos. So as a lot of draft picks are still winding up their negotiations, RJ Harvey, the former UCF star, is now locked in with the Broncos. I'm excited to see what he could do there. And we'll be hearing from Mickey Spagnola of DallasCowboys.com in just a little while. So this also ties into the Cowboys. Trayvon Diggs has been fined $500,000 by the Cowboys for not rehabbing with the team in DFW at their location, which was a tiff they had previously, right, where they didn't like that he was working away from the facility. And they don't have to fine him. This isn't like the rules state that you must fine him, but I think it's become pretty clear they are pissed that he's not working out and rehabbing with them, and so they are fining him $500,000, which might not seem like much when you're on a $9 million deal, but I don't know. That's still a lot of damn money, $500,000, like no matter what you're making. So, he did not complete at least 84% of his offseason workouts. No response from the Diggs camp, but he did not do what he was, I guess, supposed to do as far as workouts with the team. And so, he's losing $500,000.
84.3 75% of the workouts he had to do in Dallas or something.
Yeah, it was 84%. And he didn't meet that, so he's losing $500,000.
They come up with 84.375. It's kind of an interesting figure, but
yeah, I'm sure there's some method to that madness. But there you go. I could go on and on. There's a lot of stuff today, but that's clearly enough. So there you go. A few things off the radar. Home Run Derby had a cool little moment there. Barstool and Fox are now going to be a part of a partnership, and a lot of stuff going on in the NFL.
All right, Craig, thank you so much. Appreciate it very much. When we come back, we do the LSU schedule here when we come back.
Let's take a break.
We'll break here, come back with the LSU schedule. We'll also have Mickey Spagnola and Paul's Top 5, and this is 365 Sports.
Automatic Chef is your local vending, office coffee, and micro market provider, delivering outstanding service to break rooms all over Central Texas for over 50 years. Automatic Chef brings the best products to your location at the best prices. With hundreds of choices in fresh food, coffee, snacks, and drinks, let Automatic Chef tailor a break room solution to your needs. Make break time great again with Automatic Chef. Automatic Chef Canteen, 6900 Imperial Drive in Waco, or online at automaticchef.com.
Baylor alumni are more than 160,000 strong. When we all join hands to support our university, we don't just move the needle, we move mountains. Working together, we create life-changing opportunities for students on the field, in the classroom, in the laboratory, and in life for generations to come. So get connected, get involved. Learn how at baylor.edu/alumni.
There are 26 letters in the alphabet, over 600,000 words in the dictionary, and just 3 of them said together can change everything. Let's order pizza. Those 3 words lead to dough made from scratch and 3 fresh signature cheeses that blanket golden crust in a heavenly melt on Marco's Pizza that'll blow your mind. So visit marcos.com to order and stop by Marco's Pizza in Belmead, China Spring, Woodway, and in Robinson. Marco's. Pizza lovers get it.
Penny Clinic Men's Healthcare in Woodway is now proud to offer you men an exceptional weight management body sculpting product called semaglutide, also known as Ozempic or Wegovy. Semaglutide is an FDA-approved weight management medication. Once-a-week injections of this powerful medication offers an average body fat weight loss of 20% within the first year of treatment. In addition to body sculpting, semaglutide also normalizes blood sugars and has the clinical research proof of reducing blood pressure, cholesterol, stroke, and heart attack risk. If you're like most men and you have stubborn fat that will just not respond to typical diets and exercise, then help us finally hear semaglutide. Affordable, highly effective. Google search Penny Clinic Waco and reach out to the Penny Clinic team today for a free consultation with Dr. Petty to see if semaglutide is right for you. Go to pennycliniclowt.com.
This is 365 Sports. Enjoying the show? Hit the like button and subscribe.
We started doing this schedule thing, Greg's idea, throughout the summer, and it's taken us throughout most of the summer, looking at a team schedule, not looking at predictions, but just kind of deciphering and maybe some trends or history, whatever. But this is the first time that Garrett has requested we look at LSU twice.
You better.
We did this yesterday.
We did not.
Oh.
We were supposed to, but we didn't have time.
Okay. And what a schedule it is. Craig Smoak.
All right, LSU 2025 schedule. Again, not a prediction, but just a preview. And last year, 9-4 finish for the Tigers. A big win down at the Texas Bowl over Baylor, and what turned out to be one of the more thrilling games when all was said and done, I think, in all of bowl season. But the Tigers, after looking like they were going to be blowing out the Bears, suddenly had to clutch their pearls a little bit, held them off, and got the win to finish 9-4 overall. 5-3 in the SEC, big-time quarterback coming back. But what does the schedule look like? That's why we're here. And, well, it opens up with a doozy on Saturday, August the 30th. All Saturday games for LSU. But the first one it will be a big-time clash as they take on the Clemson Tigers, an evening game on ABC there in Week 1 in Clemson, South Carolina. So a big test for both teams right out of the gates the following week. After that mega matchup, it'll be La Tech in Baton Rouge. That's already been announced as an SEC network game. Then the following week, Week 3, start SEC play, as it will be rival Florida Gators in Death Valley, 6:30. And I guess that first game, Battle of Death Valley, I should have probably mentioned that as well. So the Death Valley Barbs will go back and forth, and Clemson will have their turn to show off theirs. But
How can there be two?
There's not.
Well, I
Okay.
mean, yeah.
Oh.
Clemson fans would say this.
Whoa.
Clemson fans would say the same
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you'll have that, which just dawned on me. But then big time rival with Florida there on Saturday, September the 13th, and then they continue on. No breaks so far. Saturday, September the 20th, Southeastern Louisiana on the SEC network, and then to close out the month of September, so they will not have any bye weeks whatsoever there in the first few weeks. Like basically every schedule we've had, I don't know how many teams played like 5 in a row, but LSU will, and they will close things out there in September with a road trip to take on the Ole Miss Rebels and Lane Kiffin. So at Clemson to open the year, La Tech at home, Florida at home, Southeastern Louisiana at home, and then at Ole Miss. And then as the month of September closes, LSU will take a break before getting into pretty much full-blown SEC play outside of the, game later in the year.
Yeah, look, Clemson, Florida, Ole Miss in the first wave of games that's really tough. If they're certainly improved, we'll know it right away for LSU. I mean, obviously they've got a lot coming back. They've added a lot. There's been maybe a better financial commitment to the portal, especially some of that money's coming right from Brian Kelly. So you would know it right off the bat. I have a proposition for the Clemson game. The winner gets to call their stadium Death Valley and be the Tigers for that year. But for the rest of the year, they have to change. The loser has to be the litter box. And instead of the Tigers, they have to be the Minuets.
What the hell is that?
It's a really fruity looking cat breed.
Never
What do you
heard
mean
of
by
it ever.
fruity? Like
it's
colorful?
It's like it's like a really
fancy.
puffy, like lame looking cat. Like one that you would like hello, kitty. Like that kind of cat. You wouldn't be afraid of a Minuet. Like it's one that it's a fat one that sits around. It's
All
like,
right.
bring me my fancy feast.
I think the Minuet sounds cool. I wish somebody would name their mascot that.
Well, I mean, the bragging rights for Death Valley actually might be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Don't think that's in the cards. And
No,
to
they,
my knowledge,
they don't put me in charge of the market.
Yeah,
so.
no, it would be too fun and make too much sense. They got to do
Yeah.
other wilder stuff. But, I mean, I think that's something that you could have out there that would be quite fun. But next year, LSU will get their turn, and they will host Clemson in part 2 of that arrangement. But for now, Death Valley and Clemson, what a game that ought to be. So after that first stretch, get into SEC play further with their October 11th return, and they will see Lenore Sellers and the Gamecocks at home in Baton Rouge. Then October the 18th, they'll travel to Nashville, meet up with Diego Pavia and Vanderbilt. October 25th, Texas A&M at home there in the great state of Louisiana. And then they get their second of the 2 bye weeks. So that second stretch, South Carolina at home, Vandy on the road, Texas A&M at home.
They don't have, I mean, I know Vandy most years would be their,
Rival.
SEC walkover team, right?
Oh, okay.
But that they don't, they're like, and we'll get into the rest of it, but really, they don't have that. Like they've got a good chunk of the tougher teams in the SEC. Like there's not Kentucky on the schedule.
Mississippi State.
They're not on this. So
We're not done with the schedule
yeah,
yet.
but even still, spoiler, they're not on it because who's on it is pretty stiff competition.
Who is their number one rival?
Technically, if you go back, the record books would say Mississippi State, which makes no sense to me.
No.
I think it's either, to me, it's Florida or Alabama.
That's what I thought. They have both of them. Okay. All right. I was wondering about Florida. That's an early game for a rivalry game. Then.
I think it's Bama, but Florida's right there. Yeah. I mean, I'd say it's those two. And LSU, Florida, maybe at different times, a bigger
Ole Miss,
rivalry.
I guess not. Yeah.
Do what?
Ole Miss, but I guess not.
I think it feels like it should be just geographically.
Yeah.
But it's a second tier for both of them, I think.
Yeah.
Yes, Magnolia Bowl. I mean, there is a rivalry to it. I just don't think that's the one that people really point to as their biggest one by any stretch. So go to phase 3 of the schedule for LSU and get into the stretch run here. November the 8th, after that second bye week, on the road in Tuscaloosa for a matchup with Alabama. Then back home, taking on Arkansas on the 15th of November, followed by another home game. And I'm going to coin this the SEC special. That's what I'm going to start calling those late season non-con automatic wins that get Arkansas bowl eligible. So then you can brag about how there's 14 teams that are bowl eligible. The SEC special, I just wish I would have thought about it earlier. But y'all heard it first here. Western Kentucky on November the 22nd, and then they close things out at Oklahoma on November the 29th. So final stretch, we'll see them taking on Bama and OU on the road with Arkansas and Western Kentucky sandwiched in between.
Yeah, and here's the thing, Arkansas, that's, I guess, technically their walkover, right? It would be, but it never is for LSU.
No, because it's the battle of the boot.
Yeah, exactly. So because it's one of those rivalry games, and Arkansas cares about it just a little bit more than LSU because Arkansas has been so down for so long. So that's their silver tuna every year. Like that's the one that they really want. And there have been games where Arkansas, a couple years ago, if for not Harold Perkins existing,
for real,
like they lose the game because Arkansas just played so much harder than everybody but Harold Perkins. And so that's always kind of a scary one for them, even at home. There were a couple years back where juggernaut LSU teams have gotten popped by Arkansas out of nowhere.
Yep.
They're like Kansas State to Texas. Well, I guess now in Kansas to Texas at the end, but forever Texas had the heart. Like they'd be rolling along, they'd play Kansas State and they would lose. They'd be like, "What the hell?"
That was their Achilles.
Yeah,
it was. Yep.
So massive opening game there for LSU with Clemson. That'll be great to start the season off with, and then a nice closer there with Oklahoma as they start to plant the seeds for what that rivalry will look like in the SEC. But as far as who they do not play, there is no Auburn on the schedule for LSU, no Georgia, no Kentucky, no Mississippi State, no Missouri, no Tennessee, and no Texas. So that's who they miss out on, which, Georgia and Texas are obviously coming off of the playoff. Missouri's a solid squad. Tennessee, who knows, but obviously a playoff team a year ago, despite all the changeover. Auburn, who the hell knows? Kentucky, that'd be one you'd want to play. You would think if you're looking for wins, at least that would be the one year, Mississippi State as well would be the other one. But yeah, they miss out on both those. So 9-4, is that they going to get back to that or even greater?
Oh, they better be better than 9-4.
I think my max was when I was asked to do a prediction for them. I did 9-3 regular season. I'm nervous. I don't think they can make the playoff.
Well, 9-3 means they won't be in the playoff.
I don't think they make the
not
playoff.
unless they, because if they have
maybe they can play in the playoff playoff.
Maybe
play
that double elimination game on that weekend of the first weekend.
Actually, that's now a TLC match. Tables, ladders, and chairs. They're incorporating WWE rules for the playing games to spice them up even further. No, it's steel cage. I'm just kidding.
9-3, Kelly's fine.
I think Kelly stays regardless. I think he gets one more season after this year to see what happens.
You've gone so soft.
No, I can't stand him.
You know what? I'll tell you what he did. He bought it. When he put his own money in, he bought it. Mike Norvell did the same thing. He bought this year and another year because they put up their own money. So I think that and look, I'm not criticizing that. Like, if you want to say, hey, you can go out there, and I think that's part of the problem is that the coaches complain. And a lot of donors are like, hey, guy, we're paying you. Right? Like,
yeah, they've asked the donors for literally everything and more at this point. Like, there's nothing more to keep asking for.
So we gave you $10 million a year. If you kicked off too, I'm sorry that you'll have to wait another year to get your ski house, but you're asking us the same thing.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think he bought himself some time, just to put it as plainly as possible. He definitely did that. How much time remains to be seen. I think 9-10 wins with Nussmeier back, you should be where your head is, if not greater than that. But obviously it's a tough league. So if Oklahoma's better, that game suddenly looks a lot different. Or if somebody who we're not talking about at all ends up being much better, then that could throw a curveball
like
there.
Vanderbilt last year, this year, if they could follow that up.
Right. So there you go. There's the LSU schedule for 2025.
All right. LSU and Arkansas, by the way, it's a one-sided series, Garrett. 43, 23, and 2.
Mm-hmm.
And since they joined the SEC, LSU's won 22 out of 33 games against Arkansas.
That checks, but there's been some brutal losses.
Well, there's two games that LSU gets credit for, but were vacated because of who was that? Les Miles? Yeah.
So,
Okay.
they've had some season ruiners to Arkansas.
Oh, they have.
Where it's like, oh, well, now they're out of the hunt. Thanks, Hogs. Way to go, guys.
Well, I'm trying to see. Well, yeah, maybe. Oh, number one, LSU lost in 2007 to Arkansas, 50-46 in 3 overtimes. That's one of those first elongated overtime games. All right, when we come back, Mickey Spagnola, DallasCowboys.com. Waco Custom Marketplace, your hometown grocery store, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco. Went by there the other day. Been a couple of weeks ago. I called the store, and they give you the option. You want to talk to the meat or the butcher shop, and I pushed 1. Got me to the butcher shop, and there's Becky, who usually is the one who handles the order when I call in when I want to order some ribeye steaks. And I do that maybe every 2 or 3 months. I got 4 bone-in ribeyes, inch and a quarter inch, 1.5 inch and a quarter thick. And then I got 4 regular ribeyes. These are good-looking steaks, man. The marbling is fantastic. Then I got 4 big, thick filet mignon. And that's what I did. I called in about an hour later, went by, and it may have been less than an hour later, picked up the steak. They have a full-service butcher shop, beef, pork, poultry, and also seafood. And on top of that, they have a full-service bakery with sweets and treats and much more. They have kolaches every day, and whatever kolaches are not sold, they will bag them, put them in the freezer. You can get them with a large batch of kolaches, so you can then take them out whenever you want. Kind of like Crustables, but with kolaches. It's Waco Custom Marketplace, your hometown grocery store, and you can put them on your schedule or calendar now. A great place to order what you need for any tailgating food and product. 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Edward Jones Financial Advisors Ben Erlinson, Brad Wilson, and Cam Heathcott understand these are difficult and changing times we live in, but they know how important your financial investments are to you. So is your financial advisor staying in touch with you and helping you navigate today's financial climate? Invest with Edward Jones Financial Advisors Ben Erlinson, Brad Wilson, and Cam Heathcott, who invest their time and experience back to you and your money. And like coaching athletes, investing money is about time, patience, and encouragement. Contact Ben Erlinson at 254-759-8533. Brad Wilson's location at 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, and Cam Heathcott in Conroe. Edward Jones Financial Advisors, Ben Erlinson, Brad Wilson, and Cam Heathcott, proud sponsors of 365 Sports. Edward Jones, making sense of investing, member SIPC.
Pizza, burgers, and Bears football. There's no place around Waco that serves them all other than Bubba's 33. Come show your green and gold and enjoy some of Waco's best food and beverages while watching your favorite team, the Bears. When real Bears fans get hungry, Bubba's 33 is the #1 spot for ice-cold drinks, hand-stretched, stone-baked pizzas, and bacon-infused burgers. Join us for indoor or patio dining. Bubba's 33, Waco's restaurant and proud supporter of Baylor Bears football. Sick 'em, Bears.
It's the Make This the Summer event at Allen Samuels in Waco. Get a new 2024 Dodge Daytona Scat Pack or Jeep Wagoneer S Launch Edition. 0% for 72 months or $20,000 off MSRP. Hurry in. Get these electrifying deals only. Allen Samuels. Come by. Let's be friends.
1, 2.
I'm in love with a man named Rudy. I'm okay with that. He knows exactly what I want. He keeps me coming back. Cooks breakfast, lunch, and dinner for me. Does the dishes too. I'm in love with a man named Rudy. Last name barbecue.
It sure is easy to fall in love with Rudy's tasty oak smoked barbecue.
Next in line.
This is 365 Sports.
The 5 o'clock hour is sponsored by Edward Jones Investments with financial advisor Ben Erlinson, who'll navigate you through today's financial climate. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
Halfway through this 5 o'clock hour, Mickey Spagnola back from his trip to
Graceland.
See Memphis and Graceland and Elvis. And we put the pictures up, Mickey, by the way.
Way to go.
Yep, we did. Very nice. And by the way, speaking of that, we had a segment where a guy, Connor O'Gara, covers college football, was in Atlanta. And every Wednesday night during SEC Media Days, they do karaoke, which is always a great tradition. And we brought up Elvis as a couple of his songs that people would like to use during karaoke. Which song would you sing, or which song do you sing when you get frisky and want to do karaoke?
I don't sing.
Okay. All right.
I would scare myself.
Yep. All right.
You know,
so,
the song,
you got to be drinking, by the way, don't you? You got to be drinking.
The song he did on that at the end of that special, I don't know if you watched the movie.
Oh, yeah.
They wanted him to do some other song, and he wrote, it's a ballad. It's I can't think of the name of it, but it was playing all through Graceland when we were there.
Yeah.
The whole time, huh?
Yeah. They wanted him to do an interview with Santa Claus.
Right.
And he was like, no,
I'm
not doing that.
And it was a song about hope and going forward, and it was more uplifting, and it's a great one. You know, the thing I didn't know is that his mother and I think his father, their graves are out back of the house.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah. Mickey, have you always been an Elvis fan, or is it something?
No, it was just something I needed to do. Right.
Yeah.
And so we were able to do, how about this? We were able to do Graceland, Pro Football Hall of Fame, and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame all on one trip.
Wow, that's awesome.
Nice. Yeah, I didn't get to go to the Rock and Roll Hall when we were I saw you in Canton when we were there for Jerry,
right?
Mickey. And the Pro Football Hall of Fame since then has been added to, and there's a lot more stuff to it.
Well, both of those, it's amazing though, because I'd been to both, but they updated them and added to them, and it's almost like you can go every couple of years and you'll see new stuff. The Pro Football Hall of Fame was pretty cool.
All right, so how much money does J.J. Watt's contract cost Micah or Cowboys in their negotiations with Micah Parsons?
Yeah, he says that doesn't matter, didn't he? It matters. And so we'll see where his agent goes with that one. That's what happens with these things. It's one agent gets this, then the other guy goes, well, I'm waiting to find out because I don't want to shortchange my guy. And so it's a game. It's like the second round draft choices with the two first picks in the second round got guaranteed deals, which is unprecedented for second round draft choices. Now the other 30 guys are holding out to get guaranteed contracts too. And I bet it's not going to happen.
Yeah, there's some of those dominoes that started to fall today around the league. Mickey, I've noticed that Chargers got their guy in and so on and so forth. Mike has been a little bit different in this because he's probably the most outspoken guy to have this for the Cowboys. Like, Dak is not going to talk about his contract, like when it's going on. CeeDee Lamb, he sent like social media missives, but Micah talks about it a little bit. So I think it kind of keeps maybe the discussion engaged, but the idea that the Cowboys were going to save any money to me, I think is the hay was out of the barn when they didn't do it like a year ago or 2 years ago.
Well, let's hold on. What's he asking for?
Well, yeah, but like
what's he asking for?
Yeah, he probably wants to be the highest paid, right?
He may be asking for $50 million a year. We don't know.
Exactly. No. I'm not.
So it's
I'm
not like the Cowboys are dragging their feet.
No. I'm not chastising the Cowboys on this one.
But
I
a
think
lot of people are.
I think the narrative, like, look, when they decided not to do it 2 years ago, then you can say, well, they should have done it 2 years ago. They'd have saved some money. But when they didn't, it's over. And this is where they are now.
Well,
so
I don't know how many people pay their bill 2 years before it's due.
Mm-hmm.
How do you pay your electric bill?
It's true, but like, I guess
you wait to the last minute, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I pay it when I get it.
And also, let's understand, he's under contract for $24 million guaranteed. He's on his 5th-year option that they picked up.
Yeah.
So it's not like he needs a contract. And if they can't get it done, I don't know that there's a red-blooded American that's going to hold out and skip $24 million guaranteed, right?
No.
And if he doesn't do that, they can franchise him next year. And it'll be, I think I figured out, like $26 million guaranteed. So, you know, there's two sides to this story. You know, does he want to put, look, if he signs a long-term deal, I bet he puts $50 million in the bank tomorrow for a signing bonus, right?
Yeah.
Well, if you have to play on the 5th-year option, you get paid 1/17 of that $24 million a week for 18 weeks. I'd rather have my money in my hand than have to wait for it.
Yeah.
But then when you get older, money means more to you, right?
Yeah.
Good God, yes. Mickey, is the analogy if you win? First of all, if you win the lottery, it doesn't matter. You're going to have money for it. Is the analogy if you win the lottery, do you take it all now or do you let it spread out over so many years?
Yeah, and if you let it spread out, how many years are you going to live? There's no guarantees, right?
Yeah.
I would take it now.
It's like Social Security. You're told to wait a little bit, which is fine, but you if you wait too long, you may never get it, and it doesn't get passed on.
I also don't trust
you have to live long enough to
get it.
Yeah, get the total amount, right?
My thing is like if I selected the 25-year payout, I'd be the guy who in like 7 years the government's like, hey, we're not doing lottery anymore. Sorry. You know, like,
it dries up, right?
You know, like, all right, Mickey, ran into Kyle Yeomans at Media Days last week, and I was talking to him about the differences he sees between like Brian Schottenheimer and Mike McCarthy early on, now that Brian Schottenheimer's in charge and not working for Mike McCarthy. And one of the things we talked about was his approach to Dak. I got the impression that Mike McCarthy thought that he could make Dak like raise the ceiling a little bit. As where I kind of get the impression that Brian Schottenheimer knows that Dak is 32 and the ceiling's probably pretty close to where he's going to be. And like trying to add skill sets to Dak is maybe a fool's errand, as opposed to let's enhance this around Dak so that his already good skills can be really flourish, as opposed to maybe putting it all on him to win games and lose games week after week.
Well, here's what everybody's forgetting. Do you remember what his numbers were in 2023?
Oh, he's fantastic. He was fantastic. He was an MVP candidate.
He was he finished second in the MVP voting. So is that the ceiling? Can he do that again if he's healthy? Can he do that again if his number one wide receiver signs a week before the season starts, and the number 2 wide receiver is injured 4 weeks into the season and misses like 8 to 10 games? You know, can he play at that level if his all-pro right guard is not playing through an ankle injury that needed surgery, and he didn't have a rookie playing left tackle for the first time in his career, and a rookie center playing center for the first time in his football career? There was a lot going on early in the season that was against him. And I saw this. This was an interesting stat. When Dak was playing, and he didn't finish all 8 games, right? He's got hurt in the 8th. They were averaging 253 yards passing a game. In the final 9 games, they averaged 200 and I think it was 3 yards a game passing. So this notion that he's on the downside of his career, I ain't buying it. I want to see 2023 again, that now he's got at least 2 number 1 receivers on the field. He should have a pretty darn good offensive line if Guyton can come around and take the next step. And the addition of Booker, now I know he's not Zach Martin, but I think this kid's pretty good. And in his history as an offensive coordinator, he's always had a good running game, no matter who the running back was. He did it in Seattle. He did it with the Jets. So to me, this offense could be pretty prolific if they stay healthy. I think the question about this team is not what Dak Prescott can do, but what this defense is able to do along the way. Because in those first, I think I figured out in those first 8 games last year, they were giving up an average of 28, 30 points a game. That has nothing to do with the quarterback, right? So, I think that there's a lot of misguided attention on Dak and how well he can play, when just 2 years ago, when he was healthy, he was one of the best quarterbacks in the league.
Trayvon Diggs, kind of just business on the $500,000. He wants to work out in Florida. Cowboys wanted a certain amount of workouts, I guess, in Frisco. Any hard feelings at all, or just
no? Because he knew the deal. It was in his contract. It was in his contract that they could lower his base salary $500,000 if indeed he didn't take part in 80% of the workouts, the rehab here under the jurisdiction of the Cowboys trainers. So that was his choice. And I don't know if he was playing chicken with them and didn't think they were going to do it. I wrote about it about 3 weeks ago. And how about this? Not only does he forfeit $500,000, think about that, $500,000. He also has an incentive, a per game incentive in his contract, that for every game he plays, he gets $58,000. So if this lasts and it costs him games, if you can play all 17 games over 18 weeks, then you make another $1 million. But if you take the chance of rehabbing and you're not ready to go, and you start forfeiting games that are, missing games the first week or 2 of the season, now you're talking another $100,000. I hope he's got all the money he's saved, but to me, that's a lot of money.
Mickey, again, camp is really close, and they'll pick up bodies here and there. Do you feel maybe more confident about some of the choices at cornerback that they have, or do you think that's someone where they might watch like the ebbs and flows in those first 2 weeks and maybe bring in a vet?
Well, I think, first of all, they got to get a hold of when's Diggs going to be ready to play. Mm-hmm. When's Savon Revel ready to play? When's Josh Butler ready to play? And I think that you go to training camp and you get a better feel for that. If all 3 of those guys are ready to play, along with Kalen Carson, who I think could have done more in the offseason in the workouts, the OTAs and the mini camp, but they were being very cautious with him because he had to have shoulder surgery after the season. Those are 4 guys, and you kind of got to see how that plays out. But yes, if it doesn't play out well, they're going to need a veteran corner to come in here and play. And that's why I think there's, I don't want to say pressure, but it'd be interesting to see if Kaiir Elam, who didn't do much in Buffalo and after his rookie year didn't get much of a chance to do anything, if he can step up and play like Buffalo thought he was a first-round draft choice, then that certainly helps out. It's a necessity if these other 4 guys aren't ready to go at the beginning of the season. But yes, I think they've got to keep their eyes on a veteran corner. They got to keep their eyes on a veteran backup quarterback who's played. Do you realize these two guys behind Dak right now have played a total of 3 NFL games and have started 2, and Will Grier started those 2 his rookie year in 2019. If I was the offensive coordinator, the head coach, the owner, general manager, I don't know that I'd sleep very well knowing that that's what I have as backup quarterbacks going to training camp.
But have you seen Joe Milton throw a ball, Mickey?
Oh, I've seen it, as long as he throws it to the right person.
Yeah.
And remember that last game he started, or he didn't start, he actually came in. I think they played their starter for a series. Buffalo was playing all their backups because the game didn't mean anything. So I think you got to kind of throw that out. Now, he looks sharp, he sounds sharp, but again, once the season starts, the backup quarterback doesn't get any snaps in practice. You got to rely on your experience, and he's got 3/4 of NFL experience.
So training camp starts when?
Well, we leave on Sunday. They do the opening press conference, and I guess I don't know if they're going to do the strength and conditioning thing on Monday. And the first practice, which is basically a mini camp practice, is on Tuesday. And you got to do 3 or 4 of those before you can put the pads on. So the pads won't come on any sooner than the following Sunday after they arrive.
Well, have fun, and please, if you don't mind, what's the name of the place? It's in Paul. What's the name of the place, Craig, on the beach that we go to? The
Social Tap.
Social Tap. Is that where you go?
No, the Rudder Room.
Rudder Room. That's
Rudder
it.
Room.
That's the one that's. I saw a video, by the way.
Galloway's place.
Yeah, I saw a video.
No,
by
it
the
was
way.
my place. I found it first.
Oh,
okay. Yeah, okay.
I was riding my bike and I saw this place, and it's kind of. I was very skeptical about it, right? And
you were right to be.
I said, should I go in here or not? And I finally said, okay, let me open the door. Well, there's a long hallway and it's dark, right? And I'm going, I don't know about this. And then when I got in there, I'm going, okay, this is a historical prize here on the beach.
Oh, yeah, that's for sure. But
I saw a video where it got flooded one time with these huge waves that went over the walls. And like that whole street.
It's right there on well, it's the path that from where the boats go out to the ocean. They're right next to the canal.
Yeah.
It was ocean's bad. Way back, though. You got to go a ways.
Yeah.
No, the last time I went in there, they really needed to clean the bathroom, but
it hasn't. The bathroom hasn't been updated. I don't know how many years ago it was.
Yeah,
we stayed not far from that at one of an Airbnb, and didn't we have ants?
Yeah,
it was a kind of a tough place. All right, we got to go, Mickey. Thank you.
All right,
buddy.
good talking with you.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Not one of our better Airbnbs that we've ever had. It was like
the lady was very
neither
nice,
one of those
but...
Airbnbs in Oxnard were very good.
Yeah,
with bullet holes and stuff.
The other one was not that bad. It was fine. It had air conditioning. It was fine.
Well,
it was in a normal
it wasn't bad because we're alive.
It was not that bad.
Was it as bad as South Atlanta?
No,
or North
God, it wasn't
Atlanta?
even close.
Okay.
There was a pink truck in the neighborhood next to us. It was not the ghetto. Like a pink truck with lift where like a girl was like, boots and pinkies, like that's what it was.
Was it a girl?
Yeah. Well, maybe, who knows? But like, a pink truck with lift in that neighborhood. I mean, it was fine.
There's bullet holes.
No, that is
all right.
Such a lie.
I don't
Such
think
a
so.
lie.
No, I think there was.
No.
The screen on the front window where I was sleeping. When we come back, Paul Catalina's top 5 is next, and this is 365 Sports.
Overwhelmed by your inbox? Clean Email is here to help. Organize, clean, and manage your emails with powerful automation tools. Say goodbye to spam and clutter and enjoy a stress-free inbox. Try Clean Email today at cleanemail.com. That's CLEAN email.com. Founded in 1910, Samsonite is the world leader in durable, high-quality luggage and travel accessories. Made to the highest standards, our products won't let you down. We give you the confidence to get out there and explore. Inspired by the past, devoted to the present, and built to inspire a multi-generational future, Samsonite is here to elevate your journey. Travel with Samsonite and pack confidence every step of the way. Shop now at shop.samsonite.com. Samsonite.
This is Paul Catalina's Top 5.
Welcome into the Top 5. I'm Paul Catalina, host of said Top 5. In case you're new here, if you're not, thanks for coming back. I appreciate it when you do, except for you, Carl. We're brought to you by Flag and Anthem. Go to flagandanthem.com. Use our promo code 365sports. And if you're wondering who Carl is, don't worry about it. He knows what he did. Today, Big 12 predictions. We did SEC and ACC the first couple of days this week. Now, or actually Tuesday and Wednesday, the second couple of days of this week. Now we're going to go back to the Big 12. We'll give you guys a little palate cleanser, but now you can jump fully back in. Tomorrow, we'll wrap it up with the Big 10. Number 5, someone weird is really good. My prediction is Cincinnati. That's how this league is. Someone who you don't expect, someone who had a losing record a year ago, comes up and starts beating people. Scott Satterfield, when we talked to him, just had this really wry smile and look in his eye like he knew something that we didn't. So I'm leaning towards Cincinnati, but it could be somebody else completely. Somebody weird that has no predictions around them. That to me is Cincinnati. Brendan Sorsby's in his third year as a starter. They brought in Tawee Walker to help him out on offense, to be that big play running back after they lost Corey Kiner. Their offensive line's always well coached. Dante Corleone and a bunch of key players are back on defense. Spells for a team that's ready to make an improvement. Number 4, Arizona State won't repeat. I'm putting a lot on Cam Scatterboot, and I think Sam Leavitt is going to be maybe the best quarterback in the league and a high draft pick. I just know that something's going to jump up and bite them at the end of the year, not because they're not good, and they're not going to be really good. They have the most exciting young coach in the league in Kenny Dillingham, but that's how this league works. Right when Arizona State feels comfortable, something's going to go bite them. That's what's going to happen, and they'll be just out of it. Number 3, Colorado will be feast or famine. They might be fun to watch at times. They might be annoying to watch at times. But Deion Sanders is now going into his first season as a coach where he did not make the quarterback, or at least halfway. While we're talking birds and the bees here, I just want to know that he has 23 chromosomes. His wife had 23 chromosomes, and that's what makes it 23, right? Yes, 23 chromosomes, and that's what makes it up. So he made half the quarterback. In case you didn't know that, or you're afraid of science, just thought you'd like to know. We cover everything on the Top 5 here, but I'm not convinced their offensive line is going to be better enough, and I'm not going to be convinced that they have a running game enough to either support Caden Salter or Juju Lewis is a true freshman. They brought them both to Big 12 Media Day, so they're proud of both their quarterbacks, and that's really interesting. I've never seen that happen before, but I think they're going to be a bit of a roller coaster. It doesn't mean that they're going to be bad or whatever, but I think they're going to be a bit of a roller coaster, and we'll see. Because, again, Shadur, for all of his faults, was a guy who could make this offense work in spite of the fact that they could not run the ball. I'm not sure that Caden Salter and Juju Lewis can do that in year one in offense. Remember, Shadur and Dion have been together literally his whole life. Number 2, Utah finishes in the top 5 of the league. I am a Devin Dampier stan. I'm an offensive line stan. They have both of those things that are really good, potentially 2 first-round picks at tackle and guys who are going to be second-day picks on the interior. That means that they'll have the running game that they want with Wayshawn Parker and, of course, Devin Dampier, a dual-threat guy, and his passing stats from last year will go up because he will not be expected to make every single play. It falls on their wide receivers, guys that they brought in, and some of the guys who stayed to make those big plays, but I think they'll do it. I think they'll be really good, and they're never bad on defense. Morgan Scalley, one of the best defensive coaches in the country. There's a reason he's the head coach in waiting for my man Kyle Whittingham here. He's a biker. Like somebody said the other day, like listed who would win in fights as a coach, and there was a big debate. I think it comes down to Kalani Sitake and Kyle Whittingham, and mostly because Kyle Whittingham's a biker, so that means you got to be ready to scrap, right?
Definitely.
Right? I'm not wrong there. Okay. Just making sure. Number 1, Texas Tech plays in the title game. You heard it. They're going to play in the title game. They've made too many improvements on that offense. They've taken all the excuses away talent-wise. They are ready to go. Now, do they win the title game? That is anybody's guess. But I say Texas Tech will be in the title game. That's the only prediction I'm willing to make that is rock solid, that Texas Tech will be in the top 2 of the league. They will be. They are there. They've got the coordinators. They've got the players. They are there. They can do it with either quarterback, Baron Morton or Will Hammond. They can do it. They just need the season to start and the hype train to actually start paying off, which I believe it will this year for the good people of Lubbock and West Texas. That's going to do it for us. No polls because Andrew Valade is on a camping trip. I found that out today. It was like a big secret, but he's on a camping trip and there's no internet in the woods. At least I don't think there is. But Doomsday Preppers, let me know, because if there is, I might move to the woods. Smokey, let the people leave.
It might be a good thing. No internet, no cell phone service. That sounds like honestly, I could enjoy that. I know that you guys
can
may
turn
not.
your phone off.
That's a great point.
I mean,
yeah, you really can. You really can.
We worked with a guy that we didn't really like, but he did have a good plan of when he went home, he turned his cell phone off.
It's very smart. Well, you guys, but all of you guys do that. Don't disturb me. I noticed. I don't know how to do that.
We'll have to teach you. I keep mine on Do Not Disturb.
Brandon Rowe, good to see you, young man. He got through the first week, and I know tomorrow's an emotional day with your grandmother, so good luck with all that. Coming up this weekend. Garrett Ross, thank you very much. Garrett was over there tapping the forehead. I think he's got a fever.
There's something
like a Caitlin Clark, Indiana fever. Craig Smoak, thank you as always. And, of course, Paul Catalina, our great sponsors. Those of you who watch and digest what we do every day, however you do. I'm David Smoak. Have a great Thursday. Back tomorrow at 3. And good night on 365 Sports.